Well, hello and good evening. I don't know if any one of you can hear me, but I'm told by the YouTube that I'm not to say, can you hear me? But here we are. So, welcome and good evening to the many of you who are joining. There's 10 of you already. Can you hear me? I'm not going to ask again because it will tell me off. And we do have Paulie here, the lovely Paulie, and the lovely Betty Jones, who asks a question straight away. In with a question. Well, whilst we wait for some more to come in, we've got 9 of you now. We've gone downhill, not upwards. The royal family has become the most tawdry of soap operas. Can they survive? Asked Betty Jones. Well, we do have a mystery guest here, as usual, or as occasionally is available. And we will be asking the mystery guest the same question. So I will begin by answering your question, Betty Jones. The royal family is a little bit of a tawdry soap opera. It's not quite Coronation Street or Howard's Way. It's a hell of a lot worse. It's truly embarrassing. And, this morning I was watching an old clip of Coronation Street when they had Bet Lynch on there. Do you remember Bet Lynch, the woman in the leopard skin? And, there she was in an advert for the program with a leopard walking down Coronation Street. Those were the days when Coronation Street was a watchable program. We used to have Howard's Way and we had Lovejoy. Now, please tell me, viewers, which of these programs did you love? The Pie in the Sky and the Keeping Up Appearances. This is when the BBC made proper television and ITV also. It's a shame they went backwards. And there's 47 of you here now. Welcome to you all. Welcome to Andrea, Chartel, Ginger, Tegan, Shannon, and Mr. Lee Kicker, the famous Mr. Lee Kicker. Good morrow to thee, he says. And we've got Christine, a great supporter of this channel. Thank you to Christine for subscribing and becoming a member of the channel. If more of you became a member, we could make more of these programs. So please do join and sign up. All the links are below. And I know I sound like, many of these other channels trying to get people to donate to me, but that is the way that I can do more of this and actually go out there and get on with things, because traditional advertising doesn't work for my publication, as it doesn't work for any anymore. So we have to do our things another way, and your support is much appreciated. So thank you for that. And good evening to the Toffee Lady, Sammy Parker, and Tegan, and Enigma Blue. Yes, the lovely Chartel and Andrea Bono. Anyway, thank you for all your support. And the question I shall put first to the mystery guest is the question from Betty Jones. Whilst we wait for a few more to arrive, we're at 66 of you. We're going up quickly. The royal family has become the most tawdry of soap operas. Can they survive? Let's see what the mystery guest has to say. Let's welcome the mystery guest. I hope you all give the mystery guest a warm welcome. And let's ask him what he has to say.
Hello. Yes, I would say yes. It's supposed to be a soap opera, in my opinion, and I think it's there to exhaust everyone's attention span and keep everyone distracted from other issues. There's a reason why they're on the front page of Hello and all these magazines. It is a soap opera, and I believe that a lot of it is scripted in the sense that you have Harry, who's in a way the wayward prodigal son who goes off to America and kind of moves away from his sort of traditional, in inverted commas, role, and meets this actress, and they're supposed to kind of be this whole woke kind of couple against the whole kind of establishment that King Charles represents. And that sort of dialectic is very useful to create a cultural war, to get everyone kind of into this whole woke, anti-woke dialectic, to distract people and to keep people talking about things which really have no relevance to our lives. It's like Montague Norman, the former governor of the Bank of England, said, in the future we will have a way of controlling the debate where people will be discussing things of no relevance. And in a way, I would put that whole royal family soap opera drama as part of like the entertainment section of the paper. It's just as entertainment is and Hollywood is. They're used. It's like bread and circuses. That's exactly what I think. And so is Harry. There was a second part of the question, wasn't there? Are they going to remain relevant? I don't. I think that they will continue. They might be a little less prolific, but they're useful because, like I said, they could shift debate away from the political spectrum, but they are very political at the same time. King Charles isn't. The BBC, or they did that royal family drama. Documentary, and they said that King Charles is one of our greatest ambassadors.
Well, thank you very much, the mystery guest, for answering a early question. Thank you to Mr. Lee Kicker, who says the mystery guest is a deep thinker. I like his style. So the mystery guest has been welcomed, and so has the first questionnaire. And we're nearly at 100 of you now, so 97 of you. We're going up thick and fast. We're going to soon be over 100, so there's plenty to talk about this evening. Lots of wonderful things. First, may I say a tribute to Bill Oddie, the wonderful Bill Oddie, who I last saw at the House of Commons. He was a great supporter of my friend's charity. And thank you to Christine Gilbert, who's just given us a nice donation. Thank you, Christine. That's very generous of you, and a big thank you. You are a great supporter. We also have Mrs. Hensley in the house. Mrs. Hensley is a local lady who is a great supporter of the famous PJ's Chelsea Brasserie. So if you happen to be the area, I am a great fan of PJ's Chelsea, and I urge you all to dine there. The lovely people that run PJ's are the most fabulous hosts, and they allow me to do many of my programs there. I'm obviously not there this evening. I'm in a mystery place, but it is in close vicinity. But we have some lovely friends for you to meet this evening. When they decide to join in, they will be coming to join in. So Mrs. Hensley is a particular fan of the young Daschunds, so I believe she knows other names for them, and she will share them with you shortly, I'm sure. And thank you to Enigma Blue, who says, please press the like button. Thank you. Well, we like likes and we like support. It's all very wonderful. And it's great to have many of you here. We've got Alaton81, and we've got Flower Sprinkle Royal and all sorts of new people. And it's great. But no, going back to Bill Oddie, obviously Mr. Oddie was a gentleman who had very strange problems over his lifetime. He was somebody who, grew up mostly as a child when he was born, after he was born in Rochdale, Lancashire, an area I do know. And of course, my friend Simon Danksack was an MP in that area. I spent time in the north of Lancashire, but Bill Oddie was 85 years old when he died. He was greatly famous for his birding, the bird watching, and all the lovely nature programs he made. Obviously the goodies and the all the rest of it, the oddies and the goodies and Bill Oddie. His parody rock song on Ilclamore Bar Tat, which was in the style of Joe Cocker's, with a little help from my friend's rendition of the Beatles. And you'll find a quiz question concerning that, so be prepared for that later. He, was hospitalized for most of his youth, and rather like my late friend Robin Williams, who was a very dear friend of mine from San Francisco, and I did spend lovely times with him in San Francisco. Comedians are generally the most unhappy people you'll meet. They put on an act, and they're brilliant at entertaining others. They're never happy in themselves. And I do urge you to read, as I did whilst I was in Saint-Tropez, because, when my computer blew up, I didn't have much to do other than read books, and it was hard to get hold of books that were in English. And I didn't want to read books in French because I couldn't read French. And if Mr. Gorse, my French teacher from school is watching, Mr. Gorse. You often used to tune in. You will no doubt tell the audience how appalling a student I was, and I should have paid attention given how much time I've spent in French. There we are. But Robin Williams's book, detailed that, and with the death of Bill Oddie, I've actually learned more about how he suffered with his mental health. And it's strange how comedians who are funny people are generally unhappy. They don't feel comfortable in situations, and that's why they turn to comedy. And we've got Spike Milligan. Yes, I read a book on Spike Milligan whilst I was in France also. And Lady Min, your favorite, hated with a passion Spike Milligan, so she wanted me to throw it in the bin. But I did read the book, and I actually found what I read to be quite horrible also. I didn't find Spike Milligan a particularly likable character from what I read of him, but it was an interesting book. Yes, Mr. Gorse used to come into the stream, says Tina De Silva, and Tina De Silva is a great supporter of this channel. Well, good evening to you all. We've got Hey Tigers here, and who is complaining about advertising. And there we are. And Mr. Lee Kicker is talking about being from Pendle in Lancashire, as you know. And the lovely selection of birds here. Well, Pendle, of course, is famous for the Pendle witches, the witches who were put on trial at Lancaster Castle. And, of course, this was a sham trial. I don't know if the mystery guest has any views on the history of these kind of treatment of witchcraft in that era. Does the mystery guest have any views on witchcraft in the 15th, 16th century?
I don't know too much about it. I've read about
he doesn't know.
King James the First witch.
So we'll bring him in on something else later. But unless he wishes to speak on witchcraft, it's a random topic. Maybe we'll save his views on witchcraft, Mr. Lee Kicker, for another day. That would be something he could do a bit of research on, because he is very experienced in his knowledge of such things. So we could bring him in on that later. Okay, well, Mrs. Hensley loved Spike Milligan's comedy. Well, there we go. We can't all like the same thing, but it's wonderful to have differing opinions because they are always available. Right, and Market Celt thinks we have a few in Camden. I assume that means witches. Carla Austin is a veritable expert on witches and cunning women. Well, anyway, here we all are, and welcome. So thank you for joining us. And it's absolutely fabulous to have you with us. And here we are. So cheers to you, and cheers to me, and cheers to me if we disagree. I shall try and talk to you about a couple of topics before we ask the mystery guest his opinions on the topics. We'll have a quiz also, and we can answer some of your questions. Do I still do my quiz? Jane O'Keefe is answering. Yes, we are definitely going to have a quiz. I've written one specially for the occasion, featuring even Bill Oddie. So welcome and hello to you all, and cheers. Sadly, we have no Lady Min, but we have the mystery guest, and we have the mystery Daschunds, but they are being rather quiet for now. So, to begin the evening, I thought I would talk about a case most relevant, which, of course, it was the 40th anniversary yesterday of the disappearance of Suzy Lamplugh. Suzy Lamplugh disappeared on the 28th of July, 1986. Can you believe it was 40 years ago? Obviously, I don't remember this disappearance because I was 5 years old. But I have to say it's a case that has fascinated, because if we talked about, the Jill Dando case, the Anne Widdecombe case, the case of plenty of others in that area of this famous face case, and ladies who are successful. The lady called Diana Moore, who my family obviously knew, who there has been a podcast that has come out, and I'll talk about that another day. I didn't know about this podcast, but it was not particularly helpful in my view. But Suzy Lamplugh, obviously, nobody has ever been convicted of her murder or her kidnap or anything else. We can assume only that the likelihood is Suzy Lamplugh is dead, but she could be alive. This morning when I referenced the case via Twitter, somebody wrote to me and did say, well, of course she vanished abroad. So there are people who believe Suzy Lamplugh is still alive, but of course there are people who still believe Jeffrey Epstein is alive. There are people who believe Shergold the racehorse is still alive. That is totally impossible. There are people who believe Lord Lucan is still alive. That is highly unlikely. For example, Michael Jackson is still alive, and we've got all of those people. So Suzy Lamplugh, her case was revisited yesterday by Martin Brunt, my friend from Sky News, who of course spoke at a dinner on my 45th birthday, weirdly. There we go. So, this connection with the dates. And he rightly wrote to me this morning and said, someone knows something. He put out a video on Sky News. He's been doing an investigation into the case. And the Met Police have announced that they have 30 new witnesses or 30 witnesses of relevance to interview over the next 12 months. So they plan to go further. And Martin, in his 3-minute video, which you can watch via my Twitter, I don't know how else I can send it to you, from Sky News. And I do support Sky News and the Sunday Times over the likes of the dreadful Richard Unenticing, who is attacking the channels currently. Disgusting piece of filth he is. Have shown, that there is evidence of a body in a canal. And this body in a canal situation is very relevant because why did the Metropolitan Police not do their job? What we need to have in this country is some kind of overhaul of the damned system. The Metropolitan Police is not fit for purpose. I've experienced it myself, having been arrested by them, having been detained for 23 hours, not processed properly, not dealt with properly. The Met Police are bone idle, they're useless, they're lazy. Look at what they did with the Ghislaine Maxwell case, 1994, investigation bungled, bungling Met Police, about 800 officers currently under investigation on potential sexual assault charges. The Met Police are an utter shambles. We had 132 police stations in central London in 2010. We have now, in 2020, I don't know what the figure is now, but 2020, I will check the latest, but 2020, there were 32. They've closed 100 police stations. They are as much use as a chocolate teapot. And thank you ever so much to have the lovely Paula here, who was a lady who I was meant to be doing a program with earlier today, but she unfortunately had an incident with her fire drill or something, and then she had to go to the hairdresser. So anyway, thank you for your kind donation, Paula. It's much welcome. So that's very generous for our channel, and lovely to have all these wonderful supporters. Thank you. And the police, as Mrs. Hensley rightly says, do not do their job. As Mrs. Hensley knows from the restaurant across the road from PJ's, we know that there's something a bit naughty going on there, don't we, Mrs. Hensley? And Mrs. Hensley and I have been keeping an eye on the troubles in this naughty halal restaurant. Terrible place, not a suitable thing for a good neighborhood. So there we go. But there is plenty of evidence against these Met Police. But going back to the topic, The matter of the body in the canal is very, very relevant. What we have to say here is that on a day, they don't know the exact date. Martin Brunt has not been able to confirm the exact date, but 2 to 3 days after Suzy Lamplugh vanished, this was a lady who was an estate agent, and there was a man who wanted to view a property, and they called him Mr. Kipper because of his kipper tie, and they'd sat her in the window of the estate agency because she was attractive, and she'd been supposedly stalked and all the rest of it, and it was all very, very bizarre. She went off and did the viewing. She didn't take her handbag, all sorts of things. There were many strange, bizarre things. It didn't. Anyway, 2 or 3 days after she vanished, a man who looked like somebody called John Canaan, who was the major suspect in the case, he's now dead. So even if there is proof that it could have been him, there will be no justice. But he was seen wheeling a suitcase-type trolley, which Martin Brunt reported on, and a man saw him, and there was a big splash as he walked by, and obviously the suitcase went into the canal. This man reported this to the Brentford police station, but the chief superintendent detective, Jim Dickey, who was featured in Martin's coverage, did not receive this until 2019. Meanwhile, Met Police Detective Chief Inspector Teresa Foster of the cold case team says, there was a search in 2014. They didn't find anything in any canal. They need further searches. She says John Canaan was our key suspect. This is an amazing development that there are now 30 supposed people due to be chatted to, but will it lead anywhere? What we need is justice. Before I conclude on the matter, I'll see if the mystery guest has any views on cold cases. Do the mystery guest think that there will be any justice for Suzy Lamplugh, the missing estate agent, or do you think that the Metropolitan Police are fit for purpose? Let's just see if he has a view on any of that. I know he doesn't know this case, but I will just ask his quick view, quick fire 20-second response.
I'm not following the case, so I don't know.
Well, that was a very limited answer, but there we are. So, right, well, I won't ask him about cold cases again. Okay, but no, I would say it's amazing that the sisters, Tamsin Tomlin and Lizzie Bingham, who set up the Suzy Lamplugh Trust with their family, they have said through the trust, Suzy, or Suze as they call her, continues to help people. They celebrate the time we had with her. She was a truly beautiful person inside and out, who touched every person who ever met her with kindness, empathy, strength of character, and joy for life. Obviously, her disappearance changed things for many, many people. It's a wonderful thing she did. This is a lady who, as a result of her disappearance, they looked at minicab licensing. They created the National Stalking Helpline. This was somebody who helped. This is a fabulous, fabulous thing. And, thank you to everybody who has supported, justice for this poor family. The lady who my family knew, Diana Moore, and I think I will make a whole program devoted to Diana Moore because, Diana Moore meant something to me. She was murdered with a crossbow, and there is this new podcast. It's interesting. I'll say the gentleman that produced it, I didn't know about it until I was looking into the whole Jill Dando thing with the program coming up with Andrew Gold, which I'll come to in a moment. It is, shocking how justice cannot be done for people and their relatives die without finding justice. Diana Moore was somebody I didn't know well because I was a child when she was murdered. She was murdered when I was very, very young. But it impacted on people around me. And obviously, the lady who was accused, who was never convicted, is still living in London. Other things happened to the partner, the husband to be of this lady. There were incidents involving stalking, and no justice has been done. Yet again, I say the Metropolitan Police are not fit for purpose. I know it from the other side. I have a friend who has been highlighted by national media as a very serious person of interest in many regards. I shan't say who this person is, but they spent colossal resources harassing this person. That is not correct. And that is what they do. The Met Police go after the wrong things. What about going after people whilst they're alive? We didn't do anything about Jimmy Savile until he was dead. There are other people out there. As I brought up in the program I did with Andrew Gold, Heretics, about Jill Dando. So Jill Dando died on her doorstep in a similar way to Diana Moore. Okay, Jill Dando was shot with a modified gun. Diana Moore was killed with a crossbow. Crossbow can go at 127 miles an hour, but it was done from close up, so obviously the impact was slightly different. But it's a terrible, terrible way to go. And people were seen, and people were drawings in both cases. And, we've got the case of Barry George, the man who was cleared. And obviously, I've asked questions. It's and I've had lots of comments in the wake of going on the Andrew Gold Heretics program. Many of you believe there to be a major problem with the clearing of Barry George. Many of you believe that Barry George was a patsy. Many of you believe all sorts of other things. I don't know. What do you think, audience, of the conviction of Barry George? Let's see what you think. It would be wonderful to have your thoughts on the killing of Jill Dando and also Diana Moore, but I don't think you would really know much about this. But I will suggest listening to this podcast, but I think I should make my own program as a tribute to this lovely lady who meant something very much to my family. And, all people who are subjected to such a terrible taking of their life too soon as Diana Moore had. She had a whole future ahead of her. She had a wonderful life. She played tennis. She was involved in her church. She was a sailor. She had a sports car. She had a successful career. She was selling her apartment to buy a home with her future husband. She had everything going for her. She would have had children. Her parents would have had grandchildren. They died with nobody left, and nothing has been left other than a charitable trust that was created in her memory. And it's so wrong that has happened. Anyway, coming back to you all in the audience, thank you very much to those of you giving the donations. Thank you. We've had a couple of donations via the Ko-fi.com and the other matters of means. Thank you. That's very generous of you. And Enigma Blue says Elton John's... Enigma Blue mentions Anne Widdecombe, also dreadful. The death is a dreadful death, but we haven't got to the solution there. Maybe we'll ask the mystery guest about that, because the mystery guest, I think, may have an opinion on the matter of Anne Widdecombe. Obviously, we're not going to go down a route of too much speculation that is too controversial, because we have to be careful. But I'll ask what narrative he thinks is connected with the death of Anne Widdecombe.
Anne Widdecombe story. I haven't really dived into the details of exactly what happened. I distrust the official narrative. I think that there's just a few days before she passed away, she was on Talk TV. I believe it was Talk TV. It may have been another channel, and she was talking about a kind of a power behind the government, sort of like a deep state kind of thing, which definitely exists. But she didn't name it, of course, and then she got murdered a few days later, and that created a lot of suspicion amongst her supporters that she's an outsider, a rebel, all that kind of stuff. To me, it seems like it's kind of Charlie Kirk 2.0 or whatever. It's another one of these kind of false martyr things, and I know there's some stuff that Anne Widdecombe has said that I agree with. There's some stuff which I don't, but she's definitely being now painted as being some anti-establishment, kind of like, oh, you shouldn't say that sort of thing, and I think that's exactly what they're trying to do.
Right. Well, that's a very interesting view from the mystery guest. The mystery guest is being accused of being an AI robot. The mystery guest is a full-size living person. He's quite a gentle giant of a living person, but he is a living person. He does exist. He is here, but he is someone who just doesn't want to be on the camera. I do think it's perfectly fine to have somebody. We are effectively just like a radio show. We can have guests who just speak without a picture, but obviously most of my guests are people like Simon Danksak, who you've all known of, and he has been in Parliament. He's quite happy to be on camera. So there we go. The Susan Moore brings up the matter of Claudia Lawrence. Obviously, I did a program for Talk TV with the wonderful Peter Blexley, a fabulous gentleman, about the disappearance of her. And, again, it changed the narrative to have Claudia Lawrence's disappearance. Her family realized the problems of a disappeared person. How do you deal with their financial affairs? And that changed the thing. Claudia's law made it easier for families to deal with these matters. There we go. Celia Triello likes the mystery guest. Right, there we go. So the mystery guest is getting accolades from many of you. Fabulous. And we know we welcome differing opinions. He likes to talk about the detail of the bold and the beautiful, and I tend to go more into the complexities of their characters. I'm more of the character dweller, I suppose, but there we are. So obviously, I made the program with Andrew Gold about Jill Dando on Monday, and thank you for watching it. I believe around about 250,000 of you have watched it. The power and reach of these YouTube programs, and thank you for joining us here. And Mrs. Hensley now asks, which one of the three, MK Ultra is the phrase being used? That's one I tend to avoid. Patsy's was it that killed Anne Widdecombe? Mrs. Hensley obviously takes the view that the photographs released are of not the same person. Let's ask the mystery guest to say whether he thinks the three photographs are of the same person or are they of one person.
To be honest, I haven't been looking into the details of all of this, but I agree with you though that this they use patsies all the time, and they so kind of false flags and sort of double false flags, and narratives and counter narratives, and they deliberately also leave things open ended so that there are multiple views. Like if you look at the Trump assassination attempts, they left that open so that they had a narrative, a counter narrative, and a counter narrative for who the shooter was. They made him look like an MK Ultra victim and blah blah blah. But then also at the same time, it was quite clear that there were there could have been other things going on with it was at least with the Charlie Kirk thing, that there were kind of some post editing going on. So
well, the mystery guest passes the camera, the microphone all over the camera. We're doing a little dance here, so that proves to you that the mystery guest has a hand, so he cannot be an AI robot or whatever you want to call it. So there we go. There's your proof. So the wandering hand is a useful thing. Maybe you can give the wandering hand a little wave here. There we go. See, that's not my hand, that's my hand. So if you want to put that into your system, 3, 2, 1, you're under, whatever it may be. There we are. He's not AI, haha, says Tina De Silva. And there is no excuse, quite rightly, Mr. Lee Kicker, for political violence. The killing of Anne Widdecombe by whoever and whatever means, just like the killing of Sir David Amos and Joe Cox, politicians and others, is not justifiable for any reason. The killing of anybody is not justifiable. I speak of somebody who, we talked about Diana Moore, somebody who we knew of, and, that's somebody who obviously has relevance to me. But, my proximity to people who have been murdered, I've encountered many a murder case. Obviously, I did meet Anne Widdecombe. I cannot say Anne Widdecombe was a friend of mine. She was somebody who I'd sat next to at lunches, but she was an acquaintance. But she did not deserve to die in the way she did. If the narrative that may be presented, we do not know, for speaking her mind. You should not silence anybody for having their own opinion. Amanda Jane Coleman says, the mystery guest does have a lovely voice. Amanda, where do you think the mystery guest could be from? Is he South African, or is he Canadian, or is he American or Australian, or perhaps from Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso, perhaps? Where could you think the mystery guest's lovely voice emanates from? So we do have to have some light-hearted moments to keep us all going. We don't have lady men coughing in the background. We do have the dogs padding around, but they haven't padded up to join in yet. So we do need to find a way of getting these dogs to join in. But their master has gone off to have a little cigarette, I think. So perhaps when he comes back, the dogs will join in. Mr. Lee Kicker says, I'm a lefty, as you all know, but I liked Anne and I was devastated when she died. I think, many people in this nation liked the fact that Anne Widdecombe spoke her mind. I certainly didn't agree with her on many things. Her analysis of Michael Howard was very obnoxious in my view. Sandra Howard, a dear lady, absolutely wonderful. There was no need for her to be so spiteful to Michael and Sandra Howard. I found that very tasteless behaviour on her part. But Anne Widdecombe, she was passionate and she loved what she loved. She loved the Roman Catholic Church. She loved her cats and the goats and the donkeys. And, she did her silly dances on, Dancing with the Ice or the Stars or whatever it was called. Rubbish I don't watch. But, like SS Racer says, loved Lady Min. Well, Lady Min, she loved to get angry about certain topics. She didn't like this and she didn't like that. And she certainly didn't like Meghan Markle. Nor do we. And we've now got a comment on Dan Wooden. I assume you mean Dan Wooten. We certainly don't like him. But Lady Victoria and my friend Amanda very much like Dan Wooten. And, people who like Dan Wooten, there we go. Zon Ryder has just made a donation to us of £10. Thank you, Zon Ryder. conspiracies are a convenient way to obfuscate the truth. So that's very generous of you to share that. And obviously, you have an opinion about what the mystery guest had to say. So thank you, Zon Rider. I don't think I've encountered Zon Rider before, but you're a welcome newbie here. So maybe you have been here before and I've forgotten, but thank you. It's very, very kind. And, all of these supports are very much welcome. Barbie Scobie says, I'm missing you do these names in the chat. It's very nice to have you all here. And of course, I'll try and mention as many of you as you can, but we have to keep on topic. We've obviously had all sorts of things going on. Lois Petzold thinks the mystery guest is an American. Lisa, who is a huge supporter of myself and this channel, lovely Lisa. Welcome, Lisa. Lovely to have you here. Thinks Dan Wootton is a disgrace to call himself a journalist. Well, Dan Wootton has been very vicious and disgusting to, as we know, many people, especially Lady Min's favourite, the voice of an angel, that was Susan Boyle. To be bigoted and bullying to Susan Boyle was very tempestuous. And then to try and make out to me in his nasty little message after blocking me on the old Twitter box that I was the nasty piece of work. He's the nasty piece of work. He's the same man who had a go at Johnny Depp. Having met Johnny Depp when he was filming The Tourist, which my friend Stephen Burkhoff was also in, Johnny Depp is a delightful, wonderful man, and Amber Heard is frankly Amber Turd, and she should have been thrown out with the trash. She's a piece of excrement and rubbish, and Johnny Depp is a delightful gentleman and a kindly, lovely man who's done much good for the world. He's talented and brilliant. Dan Wootton is a joke. He's a piece of scum. He's a piece of rubbish, and I don't care that he's blocked me on Twitter. Ooh, what a little cowardly custard he is. What a brilliant piece of junk. Anyway, Lady Min didn't like Dan Wootton. I don't like Dan Wootton. I don't care if Lady Colin Campbell thinks he's fantastic or anybody else. They're all entitled to differing views. They are available. But Rupert Murdoch got rid of him from his newspapers. Jonathan Rothermere got rid of him from his newspapers. Talk TV got rid of him. Or maybe they didn't. Maybe it was GB News. Whichever it was, they got rid of him. Dan Wootton, or whatever you want to call him, is a disgusting person who, got accused of this catfishing. Lovely guy. Lovely things about, the dead Caroline Flack. All these things that he was involved in. Mr. Nice. Dan Wootton. God, you wouldn't want him at a dinner party. That would be like the dinner party from hell. I'd rather have Hitler present than him. Thank you very much. We don't need to talk any further about dirty deviant Dan Wootton. Send him to social media Siberia. Thank you. He belongs with Sarah Ferguson. Simon Cowell is another one, says somebody. I don't know what your problem is with Simon Cowell, but maybe you could elaborate further. But Simon Cowell is not somebody I know personally very well. I have encountered him, but I do not know him. Dan Wootton is a bit of a gossip stirring the Meghan. Yes, right. Well, Dan Wootton likes getting himself involved in anything and nothing. He is a nobody of no consequence. The sooner he is cancelled and forgotten, the better. Go back to New Zealand, you nasty, noxious nobody. That is where you belong. Did we realise that Caroline Flack's brother had passed away? I did read of it. I did not know Caroline Flack or her brother, but that is terrible, and what a poor thing for the family to lose two people, not one person, but two. That is a very sad thing. Right, you don't like Robert Jobson. Okay, well, I don't have a particular view on Robert Jobson. I've not had any run-ins with him, and I've not had any great levels of support. So I can't really make much of a comment on him. Hannah Foley loves Dan and Lauren the Insider. Well, I have been in touch with Lauren the Insider, but I haven't been on her programs. But I think Lauren the Insider has very interesting views, and we all have differing opinions, so we're all entitled to share them, and it's a wonderful thing to have people with differing views out there speaking. So that is my view on Dan Wooden. So, as I shall call him henceforth, Wooden. Yes, it's a good new. Right. Yes, the creep Wooden was awful to Susan Bob. Okay, Camp Dan. Okay, well, right. Okay, well, we seem to have Claire Mandel. Oh God. Mr. Balling wants to know of Claire Mandel. Well, obviously, Lady Min and Claire Mandel had a major falling out, and since the death of Lady Min, we don't say passing. We're not naff. We haven't heard any more from Claire Mandel. I hope Claire Mandel is scrounging whatever she can, wherever she can, and not being welcomed anywhere, because she wasn't a very pleasant person. And obviously, Lady Min shared that on this channel. Okay, so yes, hiding the wine was Claire Mandel. Yes, not a nice person. Right, okay, well, we'll move along to another topic. We will have a quiz, so we'll have any questions. Have we any questions first? Let's have a question break, a little pause. I need a little more wine. I may have to find the host of this house to pour a bit more wine. Or the mystery guest could do the work. So mystery guest is going to actually move his arm. So maybe we can see the mystery guest pour the wine. Oh, no, we can't, because that might end up on the computer. That's quite enough, mystery guest. Thank you very much. So, have we any questions? You would like news of Elton John. Okay, well, Elton John, of course, has had his bit of trouble with the press. We will come to Elton John's trouble with the press in a minute. So we'll save Elton John for the moment. But, Elton John and the Boy Scouts, we all know what that's all about. So nice little Elton. We'll see how he gets on when things get more difficult. They are turning up the heat for them, and I will come to the whole associated news matter in a moment. What do I think about the circumstances around the death of Jodie Jones? Asks Lisa. Jodie Jones was a person who I think died in Scotland. If I've got the right case, I think I have. I get a lot of messages about this case. I'm not an expert on it. The person who writes to me is a great believer in the person who was convicted being innocent. And I think we better save that for another evening. It's quite hard for me to talk about something like that without having all my information in front of me. But thank you very much, Lisa. That's a very interesting topic for the future. But the Scottish justice system is incredibly different to the English system. And the whole process is something that the person who writes to me often comments on. So I've never really delved into it in great depth. This morning somebody wrote to me and said, "What do you think about Beverly Allitt?" which was clearly a provocative question to try and get me going on Lucy Letby. And Beverly Allitt, of course, is in a secure mental hospital. She was a nurse. She killed lots of children as well. And Lucy Letby and Beverly Allitt are evil people, two sides of the same coin. They are disgusting, and I hope they both burn in hell. They are evil, rotten, and wrong, and absolute filth and scum. What they did was take away innocent children's lives, and that is unforgivable, rotten, and wrong. And my guest here is saying yes, he agrees. He would cheers to the rotten end for those disgusting women who stole the lives of innocent children and then took the notes home and wrote letters to the parents and pestered them, as Lucy Letby did. Lucy let it go. Lucy let off just go, Lucy, bog off. We don't need you, let be. You're a rotten and wrong'un. And Beverly Allitt is also a rotten wrong'un. And I agree that there will be people out there with differing views available, you know. And the person that wrote to me this morning, whoever you were, you nasty piece of scumbag, toe rag, rotten, horrible person who had a go at me, who said, "You're an apologist for Jeremy Bamber, but you don't support innocent Lucy." Well, I've explained why I'm not interested in talking further to you. I don't press the block button on this Twitter. I'm going to ask the mystery guest what he thinks, because the mystery guest does like Twitter, but he's under the radar there like he is everywhere else. But this Twitter, you know, it's better to press the mute button. As my wonderful friend Christine Hamilton says, let them wail at the wall. You know, treat the wanton wazzock that abuses you not to a block. The block gives them the power. You know, I've been blocked by Boy George, and we'll come to that little creep again in a minute. I've been blocked by Pam Ayres. She, you know, the Queen of Doggerel. She wrote a poem about me before she blocked me. I was quite honoured to have a poem by this complete lunatic who I never heard of until I went to a dinner at the Savoy and had to endure her voice. And the wonderful Barbara Minto said to me, "What is the language this strange woman's speaking in?" And Jeffrey Archer was sitting with us, and he said, "Oh, it's some kind of strange poetry that this mad woman writes." And Barbara said, quite rightly, "We don't need to listen to this. We're going to the bar." And we had a martini. We escaped Pam Ayres and her, "I was sitting on me sofa. I was here and staying in. I didn't have a heart of comfort. I came for the gin." You know, that's how that mad woman sort of communicates. We don't need Pam Ayres. So she blocked me. That was an honour. And then Diane Abbott blocked me. That was a special case. You know, the Queen Calcatrice of Great Britain, the woman who didn't know, she thought that a police officer cost 30p a year. She wanted to be Home Secretary. That was a great one to be blocked by. I got blocked by Sir Christopher Mayer, ambassador to Washington, and his lovely charity tin-banging wife, you know, lovely 90% of the income of the charity in pay. Yeah, lovely donations to charity. Fabulous people. I've been blocked by all manner of characters on Twitter. I'm sure many of you have also, but don't press block, press the mute. Now let's ask the mystery guest what he thinks about the block button.
The block button is not something I use a lot of, unless they are kind of really harassing me.
We'll get into the depth of why you use the block button.
I know I only use it for people that bang on certain topics relentlessly.
Come on, the mystery guest is very passionate in his posts, so let's hear what he has to say about the block button.
There are, if you're in political debates on X, there are people that are they're basically paid to troll you and to turn the discussion around. So you know, very often in my chats, I have someone come in and say, "Oh, it's the Jews" or something like that, and it's a common thing that it's a way of trying to, first of all, misinform people and then get people to discredit your argument by kind of tainting you by association and all that stuff. So that's when I use the block button, and I use block buttons when people just kind of keep you know, trying to kind of push a false narrative.
Right. Well, the hand of the mystery guest did not come over, so he could be back to being an AA chatbot, but he's certainly not. But we're getting lots of comments on the mystery guest. Could he be Scandinavian? It's a bit like the lovely case of the Stig on Top Gear. We're getting, could he be Scandinavian? Could he be Scottish Canadian? A Scottish Canadian. That's a variant. He could be a Scottish American. He's American. He's definitely using British vowel sounds thrown in. He's definitely trying to con us, as said another. It's nice to hear Andy Murray speaking here. So we've got a hint of the Dunblane Scottish, because, of course, Andy Murray was a pupil at the Dunblane School, which was, of course, where a terrible massacre occurred. We've got the Scottish accent allegation. And we're also getting the comment, being blocked by Owen Jones is a badge of honour. Well, Mr. SS Racer, I assume you're a Mr. You look like you've got a racing hat like the Stig. I'm assuming you're a gentleman. Being blocked by Owen Jones is a badge of honour. Well, it's one I've achieved also. He got very angry with me. You know, the author of that dreadful book, Chavs, the one who cries whenever anyone says hurty words. This man is a woke wazzock. He belongs in the sewage pit of ruin. He gives the Guardian the word gross. You do not need this loser, as Lady Victoria would call them, to be even in the sphere. I've never met Owen Jones, but I could not think of a worse person to have a dinner party than Owen Jones, or perhaps Ash Sarkar, another lefty loon, or that dreadful woman that had a go at Anne Widdecombe, who was from the oil thing, the queer person who went on about being queer. Well, her mindset was queer. There's nothing wrong with being gay, but being queer of mind is a totally different matter. So off to the funny farm with the politics live prat. But we've got Andy Murray being thrown in. Thank you to Sandy D for your kind donation. That's very generous. Diane Abbott blocked you. You must have been crushed, says Amanda. Well, I think we all were, yes. Narinda Kaur. She hasn't blocked me, but she's not very nice. I don't know if the mystery guest even knows who Narinda Kaur is. He doesn't know, so we can't ask about that. Carol Malone. I don't think I've been blocked by Carol, but there we go. The mystery guest has so many different accents that he can make his voice up. It's clear he went to a boarding school. There we are. I cannot confirm or deny that the mystery guest went to a boarding school. I think we'll leave that a matter of mystery for future occasion. He may choose to reveal his educational background in due course, because obviously he needs to provide context for his opinions. What do I think of Naga Manchetti being demoted to radio? I can't say I'm a great fan of hers, not particularly interested, not that good, but not that bad either, not one that offends me. Have I ever watched Cycling Mikey? I don't know who Cycling Mikey is, Mr. Balding. I'm afraid I am rather limited in my sphere to people who I watched. I like Howard's Way, and I like old classics, and I like strange things. Have I met Katie Price? She's feeding her kid to death, says Sean. No, I've never met Katie Price. I do know Katie Price's uncle. I haven't seen him in a while, but Katie Price is not somebody who should be celebrated. She's an utter disgrace. She's disgusting, revolting, repugnant, rotten and wrong, awful. Jane O'Keefe has changed her mind, thinks that the mystery guest is Scottish. Sandy D says, I can't hear that Scottish twang. Right. Anyway, Mr. Lee Kicker announces he has to go because he's single. It's a night for him. Well, I hope you find a date. There you go. The music of Howard's Way, says Katz McPhee, was very boaty. Well, the music of Howard's Way will come up in our quiz, so you might have a chance to talk about that. My insults are sublime. Have I any news about Cliff Richard? Well, he did cause a bit of a performance at Wimbledon. He got cross because he had his taxi driver waiting for 4 hours. well, why not send the taxi driver home and just be like a normal person and get another taxi to go home? Cliff Richard has to make everything about Cliff Richard. Cliff Richard is the very man who complains every year when anyone sells more calendars than him. Do you know anyone who buys a calendar anymore? Because I certainly don't. No one needs a calendar. You've got it on your bloody iPhone. You don't need a calendar. Does the mystery guest have a calendar? No. The mystery guest is being quite remarkably quiet, but I think he's busy on his telephonic device. Maybe he's preparing to make a statement here. Are you coming out with a statement anytime soon on our channel? No, we only want questions.
That's easier.
He likes questions. So have you any questions for the mystery guest? Right. You would like a book of quotes with the best insults about people. Well, that's a possibility. Could be added to the list of future books. We certainly don't need a Cliff Richard calendar. Totally agree. That would be a total horror and an absolutely appalling thing. May I say thank you very much to the views appreciated, and welcome to you all for joining in. And we love having contributions and support, and please send your stories, editorial@thesteepletimes.com. We will be doing some dinners again in the forthcoming months. It'd be lovely to have you to some of those. It's our walking tours like we did last night with Peter York, the author of the Sloane Ranger Handbook, attended last night. We even interrupted a door opening at Ghislaine Maxwell's home. And we were interrupted by two young people who did not look very happy to see us. So, my tours are not just the normal tour you might go on with some, professional tour guide, as some moaning person on that weird website called Nextdoor wrote to me. And Nextdoor people, there's lots of lovely people on there, but some moaning Minnie complained that I wasn't a professional tour guide. Well, I wasn't there to be a professional tour guide. I was there to talk about the crimes that I know about in Belgravia and Chelsea. So that person complaining can bog off and put a sock in it. They can shove it up the stinking jumper, as Min would say. And anyway, we were very, very happy with all this. So, we had a nice time at our tour, but we did cause some offense to two people coming out of the door, and they put their arms in the air and gave me the look of death, and Peter York also. So anyway, Peter York is a fabulous man. Read his book. It's the Sloane Ranger Handbook, of course, the whole history of the area. And obviously, Diana, Princess of Wales, James Hewitt, Hugh Grant, they were all these Sloane Ranger characters, and they all lived in a world of, excess and craziness and yuppiedom, and it's a different land. And, well done to Peter York for making a great series about that, and all the writings he's done over the years, fabulous. Mr. Mann says, I'm a fan of Lovejoy. Well, Lovejoy, I hear, is coming back, so you'll be able to watch Lovejoy again soon. Right. Is the mystery guest a fan of Rangers or Celtic? He says Rangers. I don't know why he says Rangers, but why Rangers?
I think it goes back to... Well, I won't reveal too much. It's a personal thing.
He says it's a personal thing. He likes Rangers. Well, there you go. He's giving a hint as to his origins now. He likes Rangers. Fern Fox says, you Brits are known for whining, so you should be whinging about your state of affairs. Well, I am complaining about certain things, but I'm also celebrating things. I think we have to have a mixture. Have I ever eaten eel? I have caught eels. I've caught razor eels in fast rivers, and I've eaten some eel. Yes, I've no problem with eating eel. It's nothing nothing to my particular favourite taste. Market Celt says, come on the hoops. Katz McPhee says he's got to have the Scots in him. Right, okay. Hey Tiggers says, so true, shove it up your jumper. Right, get on it. Okay, well, what pattern is the guest's tartan? Well, he doesn't have tartan in his person today. But Lois makes the assessment that he has to be an American with a Scottish significant other. There we are. Okay, the eel is typical for Christmas Eve in Italy. Anyway, moving along, we'll move along. The Blue Nomad misses a curry, but we'll perhaps talk for a moment about Associated Newspapers and Prince Harry. Right. Well, we're not going down any more Lucille. We're going to talk about Prince Harry and Associated Newspapers. But thank you, Market Celt, for your analysis. There are differing opinions allowed, but we'll allow you to have those. Unfortunately, the little dogs have disappeared. I don't know where they've gone, and their master's disappeared. And the mystery guest seems rather agitated, and I don't know if he's getting ready to get worked up about the case of Associated Newspapers. I suspect not. But what I will say is, there has been a 2-day hearing concerning this, and an interim payment of £10 million has been sought by the Daily Mail, the Associated Newspapers Limited. £9,950,624.37 to be precise. 4 years of litigation has gone on, and the claimants have only offered 8 million. So there is a bit of a gap of 1.95 million, and this is what the hearing is going to be about primarily. The total publisher expenses are over 50 million. There's a lot of money, and there's an insurance shortfall. We won't go down all the numbers, but let me say, Associated News are pursuing an indemnity order, and quite rightly so. They have won the case substantially. They have won a case where they got 97 out of 97. Prince Harry, Doreen Lawrence, they call her Baroness or Saint, Elton John, his titleless husband, David Furnish, Sadie Frost, Sir Simon Hughes, Liz Hurley, this bag of bilge, they've lost. They need to pay up. It's time they paid the bill. They are tedious people who used the Daily Mail, all of them, when they wanted to promote what they were doing. Their case has been proven to be a pack of lies. They are liars. They are deceivers. They have used nefarious tactics in their case. And I have come out of this case realizing that Hacked Off is one of the most hideous operations in history. This is a bunch of creeps who have profiteered off you, the general public. You made them famous. You paid for Hugh Grant and his Steve Coogan and all the rest of them to become, celebrities, as the word goes, which is what they call themselves. I think the word is vacuous and vain and vainglorious, absolutely appalling. But they don't care about you. They care about their profit, their personal pocket. Liz Hurley, what film has she ever made that hasn't been a joke? She's laughed at, not with. She's appalling. She can't act for toffee. She's disgusting. Sadie, whatever her name is, Frost. I've never heard such a boring speech as when I went to some kind of thing she gave. God, the most dull as ditch water person, and left her children crawling around on the floor in a nightclub. We all know what happened there. Yeah, lovely, lovely mother she is. Piece of class. Absolutely no class. Frosty old frost face. Dreadful. You know, Baroness Lawrence deserves pity because her son was murdered. But as her ex-husband has said, if it hadn't been for the Daily Mail, there would have been no justice. The Daily Mail put the killers on the front page. The editor, Paul Dacre, risked contempt of court. He put them there and they were convicted. 3 out of 5 got convicted. And then he put the rest on the front page as well, for good measure. Baroness Lawrence claims, she is part of Prince Harry's little narrative. Well, Prince Harry should be charged with contempt of court. This is where the whitewash factor comes into this case. He said this was a complete and obvious whitewash. Well, Associated Newspapers have rightly said they view this to be contempt. And today, the Mail's Sam Greenhill, their main reporter on this, has said this was a doomed case. He said it was pursued in a cavalier fashion. It's highly unreasonable and it's inexcusable. This case is well outside the norm. It's a resounding victory for the Mail. The Mail's journalists were completely exonerated. It was weak and speculative nature of the claims. It was a plot to bring down the Daily Mail, the Operation Bluebird, as they called it. Did they meet in the Bluebird restaurant, any of these people involved? And obviously I did meet a Mr. Johnson who was involved in the case. I'm going to get an opinion shortly from the mystery guest, but I will finish my points first. The star witness, Gavin Burrows, who I've been in contact with, obviously he changed sides in his views. And the litigants are now claiming their costs were astonishingly high. A 436-page ruling by Mr. Justice Nicklin showed that these people were using very strange ways of getting to their point. Their points were not proven. Their points were a pack of lies. Elton John, the main agitator in this case, of course, has a history with the media. He hates the media. He hates the truth. Elton John is a tempestuous twerp. He is considered a national treasure, and that is why he used the likes of Doreen Lawrence and Prince Harry to be the front for this case. He used them. Hugh Grant kept out of this case because he knew it wouldn't do him any favors. These morons are the fools that were the fall guys for these others. The whole lot of them are a bunch of silly billies. Let's be honest. They are equal co-claimants, they say, but they really do claim. But their public denials of dependency on the others, I don't think the truth has yet outed. So let's see where we go. Anyway, the mystery guest would like to make some kind of comment. So maybe we'll let the mystery guest make a comment. We have to be very careful. I'm telling the mystery guest this in advance of what we say about the way we go down this, but the mystery guest will no doubt have a strong view. So let's have the mystery guest's view.
Sorry, I was only referring back to something that you said earlier, but the moment had passed. So,
well, the mystery guest has got rather flummoxed in his opinions tonight. I'm not quite sure what he was about to say, but he's forgotten. So, unfortunately, he doesn't have a strong view on the case. So, there we go. Right. Next question. Right. The only thing Liz is famous for is her safety pin dress and her weird relationship with her son, says Toffee Lady. Well, There we are. Well, I think you may make a valid point. I think there are other things that she's infamous for, just being pure dreadful. So there we go. Right. Right. Well, Enigma Blue thinks the mystery guest is choosing to be quieter because you've worked out who he is and that he is Scottish. Did I watch the Fauci hearing? I didn't watch the Fauci hearing, no, Barbie. So, no, I didn't watch that. Right, the mystery guest should top up the glass. Well, in due course, he definitely should. Yes. So, right. Have we any further questions? Well, we are being asked about the mystery guest's own social media presence. If we told you that, we might have to kill you. So we have to perhaps consider the mystery guest remaining a mystery in that sense. So we need to allow that to be a mystery. The quiz master is going to come shortly, so we can always join in on a quiz. We will need the quiz master to come and join in on a quiz in due course. But right, well, in due course. So, when is the quiz? Yes, we're going to do a quiz soon. Am I living in London? Well, I am currently in the London area, yes, for now, but who knows where I will end up next. I don't know. I could be, moving around, a man of mystery. But coming to another topic before we go any further, obviously, Prince Andrew had his whole, the former Prince Andrew, the Andrew formerly known as Prince, as you might call him, did have his whole matter of Alex Jenkinson, the 39-year-old, the masked man who jumped out of a car to accost him in court today at the Westminster Magistrates Court, a court I know only too well. 66-year-old was supposedly attacked whilst he was having a nice evening stroll with the late Queen's corgis on the 6th of May at Wolverton near King's Lynn, near his current home of Marsh Farm. And the man who attacked him used threatening, abusive, insulting words or behaviour with intent to cause that person to believe that immediate unlawful violence could be used against them, is the charge that is in operation. Of course, there is a second charge of exactly the same thing being used against for a day earlier, with a man called Stephen Terry. We don't know anything about Mr. Terry. Mr. Terry was attacked in a similar way by the same man. This drifter, who did live at the time in Stowmarket in Suffolk and now lives in a hotel somewhere else in Suffolk. He's not allowed to live in Norfolk now. He's not allowed to visit Norfolk. He's not allowed to visit Sandringham. He's not allowed to visit Highgrove, Balmoral, or Buckingham Palace, lots of other places. He's got a whole list of places he can't go. Can you imagine being banned from all these places? Anyway, Mr. Jenkinson did not appear at today's trial. Mr. Jenkinson is somebody who clearly is of unsound mind. This is a man who did attack our former Chief of the House of York with his, walking a dog, and he had in his possession at the time of attacking Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor a wooden-handled axe and a rock in his pocket. He was wearing camouflaged clothing. He had a balaclava on. I think anybody, whether you're the former Prince Andrew or the mystery guest, I think if somebody came at you with all of those things, you might be a bit perplexed. Supposedly, the former prince was frightened but unharmed, and the police considered, a man behaving in an intimidating manner. So nothing actually occurred. But this individual, Mr. Jenkinson, was subsequently obviously arrested after the Royal Protection Officers, who are paid for by King Charles, they're not paid for by the public, had confronted him, and he then refused to give a blood sample at the police station. He has put in a guilty plea to the blood sample failure. He has said he denies the public order offences against both of his alleged victims. But this is an individual. No, this is an individual who the officers have said could get more fixated on more weapons and methods of killing if he was not monitored. His actions could spiral out of control. More serious consequences could follow. He's now banned from being within 500 meters of royal residences. He's subject to a civil stalking protection order. A breach would involve up to 5 years of a sentence. He has got internet restrictions because he researched the Princess of Wales, her children, and methods of killing. He has on his telephone device online searches that are considered very curious. And he will go on trial for one day on the 21st of December. Now, I don't know whether the mystery guest thinks there's any similarities here with the Anne Widdecombe matter. Is this man some kind of patsy, or is this man some kind of distraction technique, or is this man just some low nutcase who has, attacked two random people in a walking area? Does the mystery guest have a view on this?
Sorry.
So the mystery guest has not listened to a single thing I've said. So we may as well not bother asking the mystery guest. So don't worry, we'll forget the mystery guest on this segment. But anyway, we did try to ask the mystery guest, but our other voices are available. And next time we'll have somebody else. Maybe the mystery guest can just pour some more wine. That might be more useful of him on this particular occasion. This is rather like having Lady Min. We do have to have, the useful idiot in the background. Thank you very much for your assistance. Quiz time, yes. Well, quiz time could be available because the quiz master is in the room now. So we could start the quiz. We'd love the mystery guest, who you do not seem to have identified where he's really from. He is like the Stig. You seek him here, you seek him there. He could be the Scarlet Pimpernel, but he certainly doesn't want to answer any questions about Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor. So there we go. That might give you a hint. Maybe he's something to do with him. Maybe he isn't. Maybe he's a friend of Fergie. Maybe he isn't. So there we go. It's time to top it up properly, precisely. Well, the quizmaster's coming to do the work of the mystery guest because the mystery guest doesn't want his wandering hand to wander. You all think he's an AI chatbot anyway. So anyway, right. You think the mystery guest is the Lord Min. Well, he's dead as well. So unfortunately, the Marquis of Borrigan, or whatever he was called, he's dead as well. So you can't get that one right. So sadly, he's brown bread as well. And we do have a little friend here, but I'm trying to entice our little friend to join in. So let's see. I'm sure Mrs. Hensley, are you here still, Mrs. Hensley? Would like to see the little friend. So, but there we go. How did I meet the mystery guest? Well, we met at a mystery party with a mystery woman who's getting herself into all sorts of interesting matters. So we'll say no more about that. Best leaving that one parked under the coffee table. The mystery guest is not a fan of Fergie, you think? Oh, well, there we go. That's Janet O'Keefe. Well, the mystery guest, there we are. Here is another mystery guest. So welcome to our little friend. There we go. The mystery guest needs a lie down. Oh, well, you obviously think he's tired. Right. Woof, woof. Okay. Woof, woof. Right. You're getting lots of clues. Well, obviously the little friend that disappeared is not the mystery guest, but um, theories about Thomas Kingston. Well, I did know Thomas Kingston, and I do think your comment is perhaps a little unnecessary. I don't really think that's a nice thing to say. Gabriella Windsor is a grieving widow, and I do think Thomas Kingston was a very decent gentleman, and I don't really appreciate your comment. Sorry, I just think that's not a nice thing to say. Sorry. And the comment now has been deleted, but okay. I think let Gabriella Windsor grieve in peace. I think, when people die, I think we should be respectful of those who are left behind. And on this occasion, sorry, I just didn't like your comment, but there we go. Right. The mystery guest sounds like Nigel Farage. Well, the mystery guest isn't even paying attention. You've been accused, mystery guest, of sounding like Nigel Farage. Right, come on. Oh, right. We're getting suggestions that you might want to go to sleep. Okay, right. Well, we have tried to get the little friends to join in, but we haven't got there yet. Right. Okay. Well, the comments coming in, please delete your comments because your comments are just ridiculous. Thank you for your comments, but no thank you. Okay, next. Farage is in garage. Yes, well, that's more like it. But right. Okay. Does the mystery guest have royal connections? You seem to want to be going down a certain angle involving the certain Kensington Palace dwellers and the mystery guest. Well, they're not connected in any way, as far as I can tell you. And hello to the hot dogs. Well, the hot dog has just run off, so that's the end of the hot dog. So I don't think you're going to be getting many more appearances from our mystery guest, the hot dog, but the hot dog may come back, but not for the moment. So I think it's probably time we do something a little more fun. Let's have my quiz. There are over, there's several hundred of you here. There's more than we're approaching, 250 of you. So time for the mystery guest. Has it had too many glasses of wine? The mystery guest does not drink very much and does not apparently drink much wine. No, it's not Min. No. Min is not with us, sadly, anymore. So, no, it can't be Min. No, that's not possible. It's not Donald Trump either, no. The mystery guest has been accused now of being Nigel Farage, Donald Trump, Elon Musk, Scottish, Scandinavian, Irish, Welsh, and many other things. So the mystery guest is the mystery guest the Elgin Marbles? I don't know how it could be a piece of stone, but there we go. Is the mystery guest a Scotch drinker? I've never seen the mystery guest drink Scotch. That reminds me, I'd love a Scotch. Yes, that'd be very nice right now. Bit of Jack Rolfe Howard's way. Yes. Is it Fern McCann? Oh, so I think the mystery guest is now being accused of being of a different gender. Okay, that's a curious one. Right, Fern McCann. And we have had the mystery guest as Anthea Turner. Is the mystery guest AI and female? Right. Mick Jagger. Right. Does the mystery guest do moves like Mick Jagger? He's laughing. He says he never knows. Oh, now the sound has supposedly disappeared, they say. Has the sound come back for the audience? Well, Leslie can hear me perfectly well. I think some of you do get rather worked up about this sound, and you have to refresh precisely. So, right, we are going to do a little quiz, the famous quiz. You didn't see it clearly, so you can't get all the answers and cheat in advance. The audio is fine. Yes, precisely. Is the mystery man a grey man? Mrs. Hensley, who is definitely going to be a key figure in our moderating audience going forward, Mrs. Hensley. She's a very busy lady, is Mrs. Hensley. She's a lovely lady who lives in the neighbourhood, and Mrs. Hensley knows best. So I think we better pay attention to Mrs. Hensley. Sean, the lovely gentleman here, says, yes, Mrs. Hensley knows best. So the mystery guest also says, Mrs. Hensley knows best. Don't you agree? Yes. Oh, he's not saying very much. Can you speak louder, mystery guest? When you speak, speak. Okay, all right, we've now got a real allegation. Is the mystery guest Cilla Black's son? He claims no. We don't know whether that's true or not, do we, viewers? He could be. Lovely Cilla. He's not James Bond, and is the mystery guest a Freemason? He doesn't want to be that, but he's being very quiet and he's not really being very cooperative. I do apologize for making an effort to say that the mystery guest was going to be all talkative, because tonight he's being very silent. He's a very quiet.
You have to ask me a question.
We've asked you questions. You were asked questions and you don't answer them. The mystery guest is too busy feeding the dog, so maybe the mystery guest can think of something whilst we're doing our quiz. We will do our quiz, and then if you have questions for the mystery guest, ask them afterwards. The mystery guest, they say, is an intellectual who is schooled in different countries. I think that could possibly be a fair analysis of the mystery guest. The mystery guest, right. Oh, it's been retracted, their message, right? So that's gone. Is the mystery guest married? As far as I'm aware, the mystery guest is not married, but I've met many a person who claimed that they weren't married and they told a pack of lies. We learnt such about somebody yesterday. The mystery guest is being boring. Mystery guest has been poking the bear. Right, we're getting mixed opinions here. It was slight American accent, Anyway, we can't have any more analysis of the mystery guest because until he decides to speak, it's time to move on. So we will leave him as a rich Scot, and that's where we'll leave him, the rich Scot. Okay. Right, your first question, and our quizmaster gentleman helping me, whose name will remain anonymous also, another mystery guest. I'm surrounded by bloody mystery, aren't I? Right. We're being asked if we'd love some Greek food. I don't know why we want Greek food, but we're going to not have any Greek food in the quiz. But I do like Greek food, but I haven't had any in a while. Right. Well, the first question is, what does the Romany-originated slang term Wonga, W-O-N-G-A, mean? What does the Romany word Wonga mean? Well, the mystery guest is the first to get the point with a money or cash. The other mystery guest, well, they count as one. If they answer as one because they are in the room, but they shouldn't be cheating and interfering, because other people do deserve a chance. But of course, it's an 18th, 19th century word. The word Wonga relates to coal because coal represented high value fuel, and Wongar, which was spelled W-O-N-G-A-R, was coal. Payday loan company, obviously, Wonga, whatever it's called, .com went bust. But Wonga also means Australian vines and a type of pigeon. So, did you know that? There you go. You learn something new every day. And well done to the person who has been given the point. The person in the background has given the name of the person winning the point without even supposedly knowing who is the person who's won the point. So that's kind of curious. you must know the person who is the other mystery guest. So there we go. We've got all sorts of people watching. So we don't know. It wasn't the chief yeoman warder at the Tower of London, but we have given a point to the mystery guest or guests who both got it at the same time. But the point has been given to the mystery guest because you did answer correctly first. The next question is, what was the name of the actress who played Polly Urquhart in the BBC drama Howard's Way across 54 episodes from 1985 to 1990? The mystery guest does not seem to be interested in answering the question. Have you any comments, the mystery guest? It was not Janet Evans. Janet Evans, of course, is famous for washing down drinks at Janet's Bar, South Kensington. She is now mayor of Kensington and Chelsea. She has been elevated. She's licensing and measures favourite person. It is not Janet Evans. It wasn't Barbara Spelling, Pauline Quirk, and it wasn't Ken Masters. Ken Masters was another character in the programme. Of course, Ken Masters is married in reality to the actress who plays Jan Howard, but that's a different matter. It was not Fergie, it wasn't Kim Woodburn, it wasn't somebody called Phyllis. I don't know who Phyllis is, but no. So have we got any thoughts from our mystery guest on it? Well, come on, mystery guest, speak up. This mystery guest is being very mysteriously quiet for once in his life. Right, it wasn't the Crystal Tips, no. So have we got a name for the actress who played Polly Urquhart? She also played Ken Barlow's first love interest in Coronation Street, was born in 1939, is teetotal but won an award for playing the best drunk ever on television. Supposedly, alcohol gives this particular lady, who's now 86, migraines. So she was capable of winning an award for being the best drunk, but she never got drunk. So she was certainly not Joanna Lumley, who was quite good at getting drunk. But there we go. It wasn't Julie Goodyear. This is Howard's Way. What is the name of the actress who played Polly Urquhart in Howard's Way? If you don't know about Howard's Way, have you ever lived? Were you born in the funny farm? Were you born in a ditch? Were you born on the in a different era? Keep up. Come on. Answers, please. It was not Audrey Hepburn. It wasn't Anne Reid or Bethany McAllister or God knows who. Move on. We don't need to be told. I do not get told when to move on in my quiz. You will be told you're the weakest link. Goodbye. Do not challenge my questions. Thank you very much. Hey, Tigers. I like you very much, but I don't like your obstinacy. How dare you? Naughty you. It was not anybody called Kate O'Mara who was in it, but Missy 4611, Missy gets the point. Patricia Shakespeare. I'm sure you did a Google search, but well done. You got there in the end. You did it before anyone else. Why is a woman called a brass? Well, you're not the ones asking me the questions. I'm the quiz master here. I ask the questions. Save your question for another time. Send in your suggestion for a question. We might consider it for a future quiz. Well, then we'll ask your question. Thank you. That will be absolutely fine. Whoever you are, lovely, nice of you to suggest, but really, I'm in charge. Thank you. Right. Well, we've had 2 questions. We haven't got very far. We're not doing very well because people are really not trying hard enough. If you want to prove you're not suitable for the funny farm, if you want to say you're wonderful on a Wednesday, come on, try harder. You've got to try harder with this. The little dogs need to join in with this quiz because they could probably answer the questions a little better than you. Right. Okay, next question. Bit of red wine first will always help the way. I can't see the point of anything else. We need the hot dogs, precisely. Could do with something like a hot dog to eat myself right now. It would be lovely. Right. In which year, accompanying the film of the same name, did the English pop singer Limahl release two versions, English and French, of The Never-Ending Story? Which year was The Never-Ending Story released?
1986.
1986 from our mystery guest is an incorrect answer. 1983 and is an incorrect answer. 1984 from SS Eraser is the correct answer. 1984. It was a number 1 in Norway, Spain, and Sweden. It only went to number 4 in the UK. This artist was the lead vocalist of Kaja Gugu from 1982. There you go. The Never-Ending Story. But the mystery guests were in the same region, and so are many others of you. But we can give you all a pass because most of you went for the right decade. Those of you, for example, like Kaduru said 1990, were in the wrong decade, but the rest. Caps McPhee comments on his epic hair. The Midnight Chair saw him once in a club. And somebody else references a glass Coke bottle. I'm not quite sure what that has to do with the price of fish in any region, but there we go. Again, Hey Tigers, I don't know, you're being a bit naughty tonight, Hey Tigers. Perhaps maybe you've been on the hooch. Perhaps you've had a whiskey too many. Our little friend is joining in, but only just. Right, next question. Next question. Are we ready, Quizmasters? I don't know. They don't want to speak. They're both being most unhelpful. They're too busy playing on their telephonic devices. These things should be banned in every land. Right. What is the name of the composer of the theme tunes of Howard's Way and EastEnders? What is the name of the composer of the Howard's Way, Doof Doof, EastEnders music, and Peggy's theme for Barbara Windsor's exit on the 10th of September 2010 from EastEnders? Peggy being, Peggy Mitchell, Barbara Windsor. The old Carry On Bird. El Dorado was also music they composed for The Trainer, the sequel to Howard's Way. The winner is Sarah Haverson with Simon May. It certainly wasn't Jonathan King. I am blocked on Twitter by Jonathan King, the convicted paedophile, who does write terrible abuse to lots of people. The king of hits, as he calls himself. I call him the king of shits. Sarah Haverson is the point winner. The mystery guest is meant to be writing and observing, but is not paying attention. He will be sent to the naughty corner if he doesn't comply with paying attention. Pay attention when you're the scorer. If you're going to be the Diana Dawes on the doors for Miss Scores, you need to pay attention. It was not Cilla Black. We blame her for everything. It wasn't Elton John. And you loved El Dorado. Well, I don't know if the mystery guests remember El Dorado, but it was a funny program, but it was a bit of a one-hit wonder, but it would have been like the Benidorm of the day, and Cilla Black should have been a bit part extra in it, along with Barbara Windsor and Rolf Harris. Maybe that would have made it a Telebox classic, but it didn't work out with Marcus. Yes, Marcus Tandy. You'd like me to send the mystery guests to the Bibby Stockholm for their naughtiness. Oh dear. Well, they're going to be put on the deportation ship. Okay, well, that's not very nice to the mystery guests. They are being semi-pleasant. You can see our little friend here in the background. I'm going to tilt the screen just a touch. There you go. You've got a little friend joining in. The dog seems curious. Maybe it likes El Dorado. Maybe it would like a bit of doof, doof, doof for EastEnders. But there we go. Next question. Who played the murderess and former dresser of Sarah Ferguson, Fergie, in the 2026 ITV miniseries The Lady? The mystery guest did not like this program. I tried to force him to watch it, and he thought it was incredibly boring. What was the name of said person? Her name was not Samantha Norton, no. It wasn't Steve McQueen or Danny LaRue or Katie Price or Penelope Keefe, no. It wasn't a packet of mini cheddars. A packet of mini cheddars may have been more use than anything else. It wasn't Kylie Minogue or Sam Fox. It wasn't Felicity Kendall, who is a lovely lady. Why didn't you ask me who is the composer of Inspector Morse? I know the answer to that, says Mrs. Hensley. Well, Mrs. Hensley, I'll give you a telling off now. You may be a lovely lady who is from the neighbourhood, but again, I set the questions for the quiz. Thank you, Mrs. Hensley. So it wasn't Cilla Black. Again, we always blame her. In this quiz, it's either Cilla or our Cilla with a quick reminder, or it's our Anthea swinging into action. But no, Jane O'Keefe gets a point to Jane O'Keefe. Mia McKenna, who also is famous for being in Tracy Beaker, if you remember that little series. Tracy Beaker, it was a very childish program. And of course, Natalie Dormer, who played the Duchess of York, gave her feedback because she said, I don't want to be associated with the filthy crimes of Jeffrey Epstein. So she didn't actually get paid to be in the film The Lady because she didn't want to be involved with the filth and scum that is Fergay. So can you imagine that? Giving up your fee for that. Anyway, there's going to be a new program coming out about Jane Andrews. I have been approached to talk about it, and I don't think there is any need for further programs about this wicked, evil woman. I think the memory of Tommy Cressman, her victim, is more important, and the Cressman family should be allowed to grieve in peace. And the likes of all these silly people who have dined out on this story, including a woman called Basha Briggs, please stop talking about it. Move on. Jane Andrews is a nasty woman who lives in a place called Grimsby. Grimsby, it's a fate worse than death, this fishing port. And, she's flogging royal memorabilia. Leave her there and let's close this story down. Enough about, Jane the stabber. Let's remember the victim, Tommy Cressman, whose family grew up without grandchildren as a result of, they could have had if he'd married somebody decent and sane instead of being inflicted with a terrible death by stabbing and cricket bat by this evil, evil woman. So always remember the victim. Next question. Right. In July 2026, on which Australian cooking show did the Duchess of Sussex become a judge? Which program did she become a judge this very month? Which program? We have a little friend coming in. Not quite coming in. The winner of the point, well, many of you say the words, but we need the title includes the country. So the first person to say with the country was Ross. So we'll give the point to Ross, MasterChef Australia. So the Duchess of Sussex, that meddling menace Meghan Markle, became a judge on the program. She didn't want to be called Duchess. She said, call me Meghan. She was very frustrated over royalty references in the promo. Well, Meghan, make your mind up. Decide if you want to be a duchess or you want to be a spare or you want to be thrown back in with your stupid tinny wine or your jaundiced jam, you silly old bag. Get off our telly boxes. We've had enough of you. Meghan Markle, bog off. We don't like you. Right. Next question. For how many years had the South London Press operated before its closure in May 2025? How many years did it operate? It was not 85. It wasn't 109. It wasn't 150 or 120. It wasn't 80. It wasn't 50. It wasn't 225. It wasn't too many. Well, many people might think it was too many, unless you were into football. It wasn't 187, 250, 200, 100, 2001, 45 or 95, 96 or 325. We're not getting an exact answer. It was not 40. It wasn't 43. It wasn't 106 or 2 weeks. It wasn't 200. Right. No. Right. Well, we're not getting anyone. Let's see. The next one who gets close. Okay, Mr. Balding can have it. He says 150. Mr. Balding, 150. It was 160. It was founded in 1865. It was renowned for football coverage. Max Clifford, of course, was an employee, the filthy paedophile. He did work for the playing. It had a partnership with Millwall FC, and lots of people are moaning about it. Our mystery guest here seems to like Millwall FC. So mystery guest is a fan of...
There are two different mystery guests here.
The mystery guest to the right is complaining that the other one is being confused. I'm merging them into one character, don't you worry. I can do whatever I want. I'm in charge of this quiz. So the mystery guest can become a man of multiple parts. He's like the curate's egg, he can be all things to all people. So there we go. So we've given a point, have we?
Yes. Noted.
You've heard the noise of the second mystery guest. So they are separate people, yes. Is the mystery guest number 2 a city banker? Well, you never know. Could be, could not be. We could see. I don't know if he's been accused of being a city banker. He doesn't have an opinion. Right. Okay. In March 2013, another media question. What did the then Evening Standard, now called the Standard, journalist, a journalist tweet an image of that provoked a crisis for the then Chancellor George Osborne? What did he tweet an image of? It wasn't meant to be shared until after the event. Sarah Havison gets it with the budget. Sarah Havison gets the point. It was a front page which said things can only get bitter of the budget. It was a Labour field day. So Sarah Havison has 2 points. Sarah Havison has gone into the lead. So we have a leading lady tonight. We don't have a meddling man. We have a leading lady. It was not a picture of Michael Barrymore. It wasn't a red box. It wasn't Fergie's feet. Sarah Havison thinks the guest is very educated. Oh, well, there we go. Sarah's on a roll, says Leslie. Well done to Sarah. You're definitely a better Sarah than Sarah Ferguson, because she certainly couldn't win a biscuit in our. She wouldn't know how to operate anything other than the chocolate teapot. Let's be honest. She would be more use with a used bus ticket, but she'd prefer having her toes, her cloven hooves dealt with, I suppose, first. Right. Okay. Next question is: in which year did Polish confectioner Alexandre Mika create the tart trapezienne? Which year did a Polishman create the famous tart trapezienne? To his grandmother's recipe. Obviously, Brigitte Bardot tried it. suggested the name and trademarked it in 1973. It consists of a halved brioche. Right, we're getting lots of answers. It was not 1935. Right, it wasn't 1879, 1902, 1960, or 1982, 1910. No. TMTB can have the point with 1955. So the tart trapezienne was created in Saint-Tropez in 1955. It was something I used to love eating there. My friend Anthony Brown, the restaurateur who used to have a restaurant called Buchan's in Battersea and another one in Connaught Square, he got me into it. And of course, Lady Min loved a little bit of it, but not too much. It was a thing you had when you were down there, but it was a half brioche, 2 creams, topped with pearl sugar. But interestingly, I didn't know until I researched it. It was also popular in Prague, and it was known as Prague cake. So it probably didn't really come from Saint-Tropez. So Brigitte Bardot, the bigoted Brigitte, who was very involved with Marine Le Pen and lots of others, she wasn't a very nice person. She turned on the people of Saint-Tropez. Lady Min and her did love one another. They did get on very well. And so did a lady called Celine, but Brigitte Bardot made Saint-Tropez famous with all her naughtiness there and all her animal antics, but I think she cared more for people than she did for humans. She wasn't a very pleasant lady, but the tart trapezienne is a lovely legacy to anyone. But anyway, perhaps we should just rename it Prague cake. Maybe the people of Prague might take over Saint-Tropez next, now all the Russians have gone. There's no Russian money there left at all. So, right, next question. To which Western Australian iron ore mining magnate was 4 times married, Filipino-born Rose Porteous, married from 1985 to 1997? Rose Porteous, who was Rose Porteous married to? She was a maid before she married her master. She upset the grandchildren, some people I knew who were the grandchildren. The first person to get the answer correct is Chili Karen Lang Hancock. Yes. We will say you got that correct. Lang Hancock, who of course was the father of Gina Reinhardt, who is a lady who at one point was earning £20,000 every 2 seconds. Lang Hancock had lots of lawsuits with Gina Reinhardt, and Rose Porteous, after his death, was known for promoting canned tomatoes that were called Rich and Thick. It's a pretty good brand name, really, Rich and Thick. I'm surprised Donald Trump didn't come up with a similar brand. She was 39 years junior to her husband, and they did build a house together that was modelled on Gone with the Wind, and then she had it blown up and demolished and made way for a housing estate. She was a very strange woman by all accounts, but Gina Reinhardt is a particularly nasty piece of toe rag, and of course she is one of Donald Trump's biggest supporters on the entire planet, and she's having a whale of a time. Mar-a-Lago et al. Do have a listen to the podcasts about Gina Reinhardt. I did meet daughters. One of my friends married one of her daughters, and then her daughter ran off with one of the security guards. Various people close to me, including the lady who was on the walking tour last night, compared him to a Brad Pitt lookalike, but Brad Pitt lookalikes were not good enough for the old Reinhardt family, and they were more into the security guards than anything else. So, yes, she looked like a whale. Yes, I do agree with Disco, who says, well, she did look like a beached whale, perhaps. That is perhaps a fair analogy to Gina Reinhardt, one of the ugliest women on the planet. She's ugly in spirit as well as in in physicality, a dreadful, dreadful woman, along with her friend Clive Palmer, who is the male equivalent, the man who thought he could reinvent dinosaurs and recreate the Titanic. He had a row with me because I asked him if he planned to sink his model of the Titanic in the exact location it sank in before. Anyway, his model of the Titanic is coming along, and now we need more quiz questions. We're getting our quizmaster is being very lazy and not running away. Looks like the other mystery guest is going to have to take over. So, your next question. With which sport is Lancashire-born Ashley Ward primarily associated? Ashley Ward. An easy question, surely. It's not cricket. No, you're not very good at this. Joyce Grove, I'm quite surprised. You're quite an intelligent lady. And you, Sarah Havison, wrong. Joyce Grove comes back with another answer of football. Joyce Grove gets the point. Joyce Grove. Award a point to Joyce Grove. Mystery guest. I don't know if mystery guest is capable of writing. He could be useless with a pen. He's very silent tonight, so we don't know. We hope that this mystery guest has got it right. So obviously he was a centre forward from 1989 to 2005. He played for everybody. Manchester City, Leicester, Blackpool, Crewe Alexandra, Norwich City, Derby County, Barnsley, Blackburn Rovers, Sheffield, Bradford City, and he certainly got around, but his wife is a bit of an old bike as well. So anyway, we'll come to his wife now. It's a shame the other mystery guest isn't here, because the other mystery guest does know about the wife, I do believe, but he's not going to be here to join in with the question. Right, is he coming back? We're going to wait for him because he needs to join in. We need him back. Yes. Well, we're getting a bit of audience participation. So, yes, well, the little ones here are biking, are barking for the bikes, as you call them. It is being suggested that the little participants know about Ashley Ward's wife, yes, Ashley Ward's wife has definitely attracted the attention of the little ones here. They don't seem to like the mere mention. It provoked a barking fit. A mention of Ashley Ward and his lovely specimen of a wife has upset them. So we've already had the question, which obviously one of you got right, Joyce Grove, about Ashley. So we'll now turn to who was Ashley Ward's Real Housewives of Cheshire participant, Dawn Ward, his wife, found guilty of assaulting after slapping her with a napkin at the Salmontini restaurant in Pont Street, Knightsbridge in 2016. It was called Salmontini, a very strange name for a restaurant, but she slapped her with a napkin. And obviously our little friends here didn't like Dawn Ward and her napkin slapping antics. Who was slapped with a napkin? It was not Lizzie Cundy, who, of course, the mystery guest second doesn't know of. It wasn't Tamara Eccleston, Hey Tiggers. It wasn't Who Let the Dogs Out. It's a song, Mrs. Hensley, but we know what your reference is, but thank you, Mrs. Hensley. But it wasn't Lauren, says Lisa. No, Lisa, thank you for your lovely answer, but no, incorrect. It wasn't Diamond Lively, but Julie Cole is awarded a point for Sunita. So Sunita, Simon Cowell's ex, was slapped with a napkin at Salmontini, and I wrote about it. And the owners of Salmontini said, "You're attracting the wrong kind of publicity for our restaurant." Well, it was taken to court, and Dawn Ward was convicted of the crime of napkin slapping. I've never heard of anyone being convicted for a napkin slapping in my life. She then was charged with another offence of racial abuse against some people at King's Cross, but that never proceeded. But Dawn Ward is a very curious woman. She did block me on Twitter, of course. I'm quite honoured to be blocked by the dreadful Dawn. Dawn said, I don't drink Prosecco because it makes me gag. And her husband said, oh, well, we have to buy a Verve to keep her booming. You know, that's how she lived. And this is a woman who is certainly no lady. And I believe she lives in Dubai now. It's probably the best place for her. Let's park Dawn, who does owe rather a lot of money to rather a lot of other footballers' husbands from her bankrupt property company, parked wherever she is, and her great mate Ampika Pixton, bestie of David Sullivan and fiance of him, and of course Karen Brady, you know, the associate of the dildo floggers. High class bunch of ladies here, you know, and convicted of the crime of a napkin slapping at Salmontini. And I did point out to the owners of Salmontini when they got cross with me, perhaps it was not wise to name a restaurant Salmontini. I said, it sounds like salmonella. I said, it sounds like a disease. And they weren't very happy. Well, their restaurant closed and I'm still going. So never mind. Next. Okay, next question. Which city stands on Scotland's northeast coast at the point where the Moray Firth meets the River Ness? A simple geographical question. It's not Peckham, no. Sarah Havison gets another point with Inverness. You think I would make a great dinner party guest? It's been a great show. We think this is funny. She needed a good thrapping. She's pathetic. She's so macho. Well, that was the song that, of course, Sunita sang. Was Boris Becker in the cupboard? Sunita is gross. Lizzie Cundy and Anthea Turner. Oh, God. Vardy's wife, Dawn French. Oh, you've definitely got into your Sunita Salmontini slapping episode. Okay, well, we might have to talk of that more one day because they did get rather upset. Anyway, never mind. Next question. We're getting towards the end. Okay, which seaside town on the Isle of Thanet in Kent has the Latin motto Stella Maris? Which one has Stella Maris? Meaning Star of the Sea, which obviously it connects to an 11th century shrine of Saint Mary. It's not Bradford, it's not Durham, which is not on the south coast. Clearly, your geography TMDB is stuck in AI. It's not Margate, Paulie. It's not Brighton or Dover or Isle of Wight. It's not Sheppey or Ramsgate, but Ross gets it right with Broadstairs, the place I used to live in, of course. So I didn't know this until I looked it up myself. A random question. I hope Mario and June and all the lovely people of Broadstairs are tuned in. Don't know if you are, because one of you did message me. Maybe you're here, maybe you're not. TMTB says my geography was actually stuck in America. Oh, well. Well, you didn't meet the Isle of Thanet, did you? Which of course means the Isle of the Dead. So you didn't die there, so don't worry. You can live another day. It's not die another day, it's live another day. Right, next question. Where did Sir Edward Heath, who of course was born in Broadstairs, die on the 17th of July 2005, having lived there since 1985. Where did he die? He was born in Broadstairs. He was Prime Minister from 1970 to 1974. A very curious character with lots of allegations, of course, against him. He didn't die in Kensington. He didn't die in the pub. He didn't die in Paris or the Isle of Wight. He didn't die on the bog. He may have died in his bed, Jane, but I cannot confirm or deny that. He didn't die in Hastings, New York, Switzerland. He didn't die throwing boys off a boat. There are allegations about him and Jimmy Savile in boats, but he didn't die in that manner. You love my civility and charm. Thank you. He didn't die in Australia, but Julie Cole can have a point with Salisbury. Well done to Julie Cole. He died in the Cathedral Close, Salisbury, and his house, of course, is now a kind of museum. Would you want to visit such a place? No, thank you. He's a weirdo. Definite oddity. My most weird experience with the late Prime Minister Edward Heath was at the Conservative Party conference 1997 when William Hague had become leader, and I was invited to go to this big sort of, speech. And there we were, and IKEA had sponsored the furniture. And they had all the old leaders of the Conservative Party, the predecessors of Mr. Hague, including Margaret and Mr. Heath, or Sir Edward Heath, I suppose you should have called him. And of course, the tubby old slug couldn't fit into the chair, and it looked like the chair was about to break. And he was known for having the longest sulk in history, but there was this miserable old git, and he was a deeply unpleasant man. So no, I don't have a very fond memory of him. Swedish meatballs, you say, would have fitted better. I can agree with you there. Okay. In Old English, what does white mean? White being spelt Wight. What is white in Old English? And it's certainly not Edward Heath. No, it's not the Isle of, no. But that does another spell it. It does mean, well, that is related to it. It is not ghost. Although you could make comparisons to that. You are kind of close, but you're not correct. I think we need a more specific answer. I'm being very kindly now. I'm not being as sharp here. You're saying ghost. TMTB say spirit. Okay, I can accept spirit. It's a living person, creature, or supernatural. So a white is a living. So you will argue. So we've given it to TMTB, have we? We've done that. Right, moving along. I think I need more wine. The AI, we want to see the hand of the mystery guest number one. He's going to put his hand across the screen. He's advertising Waitrose wine. We are not sponsored by Waitrose wine. We should have a drink sponsor. So if you're a drinks company and you're watching, please sponsor this channel. That would be absolutely lovely. Thank you very much. He's showing his hand. He likes playing the hand. He's one of those people who says talk to the hand because the face ain't listening. That's a terrible thing to say. My sister once said it as a child, and my grandmother was utterly appalled. It's a horrible thing to say. Don't come out with that. Don't teach your children it. Okay, the next question. What does the Latin phrase factum egregium mean? What does factum egregium mean? Waitrose is a shop for only people who, like you, who are rich. Well, I wish I were rich, but it's just the local shop. Factum egregium does not mean Rolf Harris or false alarm. Would you like to go to the Barbican Alcohol Free Centre? They're interested in sponsoring you. No, thank you. I'll leave that to Lizzie Cundy. She can have that option, or maybe Anthea Turner. She could swing in there. Mrs. Hensley is now having a chilled Riesling. Riesling, sorry. Yes. Mrs. Hensley is a lady of sophistication who clearly enjoys her vino veritas. Yes, but we haven't got to the answer to the question. No, we haven't got any answers yet. We haven't got a Waitrose yet in Wigan. Well, you did have Wigan Pier, of course. That's a future quiz question, obviously. But who wrote Wigan Pier? Does the mystery guest know? Oh dear. Well, the mystery guest is clearly not up on his heritage of all the people who I thought the mystery guest would be into. Of course, it was George Orwell. Wigan Pier, yes. So the mystery guest needs to be given a book. So if any of you viewers have a copy of the Wigan Pier book, please send it to PJ's Chelsea Brasserie, Fulham Road, 52 Fulham Road. The mystery guest needs a copy because it's time he read that. So there you go. There's a book that the mystery guest needs to read. So that's our reading recommendation for tonight. Yes, Eric Blair, of course. Right. Well, we haven't had an answer to the question yet. Right. Have we got anywhere near? No. It's a difficult question. No. Well, that's a very useful piece of analysis. David Greenwood says Lancaster is a very nice town. And that whole Morecambe Bay and Forest of Bowland area. Well, that's, of course, where I did spend part of my childhood, so I do know it well. Yes, the whole Forest of Bowland. There we go. Wigan is a very short pier. Well, it's now no longer a mill. Well, you can visit it. Can I repeat the question? Right. Okay. What does the Latin phrase factum egregium mean? What does it mean? Mrs. Hensley, meanwhile, says, you're lucky not to have a Waitrose and pay twice as much as anywhere else. Mrs. Hensley is clearly not very happy with our local Waitrose, King's Road. So she, like the mystery guest, is a regular at the Waitrose, King's Road. Both mystery guests actually like the Waitrose, King's Road. But Sean says, don't take a long walk off a short pier. Right. Right. Well, we're not guessing any sensible things. The phrase is nothing to do with David Starkey and his socks. David Starkey is a nasty little man who is a right-wing fascist who is actually, as my father pointed out to me, he's got that snotty little accent and he thinks that he's terribly important. He's actually the son of a cobbler from Kendal. There's nothing wrong with being a cobbler from Kendal, but he's a liar and a deceiver. He's a pompous arsehole, and, his husband died of alcoholism, and, he goes on about that. And frankly, do I care about stupid David Starkey? I'm glad he was cancelled. He's a cretin and he's a creep. Get him off the TV. He's a horrible, horrible old man, a bigot, and a nasty GB News type piece of trash. Awful rubbish. So don't go on about him. Awful, awful person. Yeah, he's there with Arcilla. He belongs with Rolf Harris and all the rest of them. Rotten rubbish. Don't need to hear about David Starkey. Anyway, you didn't know the answer to the question. Of course, it means an outstanding or remarkable achievement. That is something David Starkey has not achieved. He is not a proper historian. He's a bore. He's a bore and a bigot. Get him off the air. Awful, ghastly person. Right. Okay, now we come to somebody who's actually wonderful. Where was Britain's best-loved birder and member of the comedy trio, the Goodies, born on the 7th of July, 1941? That is, of course, Bill Oddie, the wonderful late, great Bill Oddie. Where was he born? Where was he born? Obviously relates to something of the previous remark. He was not born in Kensington, Adam, but perhaps you are a closet Kensingtonite and you thought you could adopt him, but it was not Cornwall or Fulham. It wasn't Birmingham, it wasn't Winchester, Southend, Australia, Oxford, or in a barn. He was not born in Liverpool or Wigan or Yorkshire. Lois is correct with a county, but I asked where, so I will not accept the county. Yes, I'll give you a chance to come back with another. It wasn't Manchester or Gloucester or a barn again. It wasn't Lancashire again. Well, it was Lancashire, but yeah, you need a specific place. It wasn't Bristol, Brighton, the Brecon Beacons, Cambridge, in a bird box. Now, that's kind of a place you might have expected to have found him, given he was quite into them. But Missy 4611 gets the point with Rochdale. Rochdale, of course, what was her name? The singer, Lisa Stansfield, wasn't her name?
Yeah.
She was from Rochdale as well. So there you go. Two famous people from Rochdale, Lancashire. What did Lisa sing? Oh, yeah, there you go. There's a question. What did Lisa from Rochdale sing? I forget her name. Lisa Stansfield. What did she sing? That's not the quiz question. It's not part of your quiz. So it wasn't Caroline Aherne. It wasn't Been Around the World. Was that her song? Right. Okay. Well, we are getting towards the end of our quiz. Right. The next question, your penultimate question, is which Dallas, Texas-born R&B soul singer had #1 hits with "You" with the letter U, Remind Me, and "You" the letter, Got It Bad? Who is the person who sang this? I'm sure the mystery guests might know the answer to this. Well, according to Tina De Silva and Lois Petzold, it was Been Around the World, and you were incorrect on Lisa Stanfield's famous song. So the mystery guests got it wrong. The people who got it correct on the next question was, of course, Paulie Gaultier with Usher. It was not Jonathan King or Whitney Houston or Stevie Wonder or Beyonce or John Cleese and his Blank Memory. Okay, right. Well, the final question, which area does the SW19 postcode cover? SW19. The mystery guests both say Putney. They are completely postcode pedestrians. They have fuck all knowledge. They are as much use as a chocolate teapot. They belong in the funny farm. They like Putney. Putney is the most awful place on the planet. Don't go to Putney. It's a horrible place. I'm sorry if you live in Putney. It's just a dump. It's horrible. I spent some time there. I don't ever want to go back. It's not Peckham. It's not Fulham.
Wimbledon.
The mystery guest has been cheating on his mobile phone. And of course, it is Wimbledon. It's also used as a name for the All England Lawn Tennis Club. So they refer to it as SW19. But the Putney Pusher is nothing to do with it. The two mystery guests, they are giggling to themselves. They clearly really don't know their London postcodes. They're no use on a walking tour because they'd go to the wrong fucking postcode, wouldn't they? They'd be lost in the funny farm. So I'm surprised Mrs. Hensley hasn't come in here with a point. But how many points have been awarded? Have we got any winning victors? We may have some success here. Well, in this quiz, I don't know how we've got to this point because we haven't written down enough points. Well, this is all very confusing.
Those are the top. Everyone else has got one.
Oh, I see. Right. Oh. Well, this particular assistant, this particular attempt at being Debbie McGee, Caroline Aherne might have a bit of an issue with because they do like drawing funny little things on the thing to confuse me, has given me not only one set of winners, but two. But anyway, we've got there in the end. Well, this is very helpful. I don't know what you're doing, but you're not joining in very effectively. Anyway, so on this quiz, right. Well, Mrs. Hansley remarks on her best friends living in Wimbledon. So, anyway, so in our quiz tonight, we have Paulie, who has got 1 point, Julie with 2 points, Joyce with 1 point, Chili with 1 point, TMTB with 2 points, Mr. Balding with 1 point, Ross with 2 points, Jane O'Keefe with 1, somebody called SS with, I think, 2, Missy 461 with 2, and Sarah Havison with 3 points. So well done to Sarah Havison for winning the points. Well done to you for that. Right. And thank you very much for all joining in. You've all been fabulous in that regard. A bit of a quiz. The quiz turns some of you on and turns some of you off. Woohoo, says SS Racer. Well done. So thank you very much for supporting me, this channel, and all the rest. Thank you for joining in. I don't know where this mystery guest has cleared off to, if they want to join in. They seem to just prefer to go disappearing. So the mystery guest has not really come back for more yet, but there we go. Anyway, Paulie says good night. If you'd like to ask some more questions, you could ask a couple more, because I think they will probably be going to have their cigarettes, these mystery guests. That gives another clue to their nature. They're not South African guests. They're not Elon Musk. Mrs. Hensley will tell you they're definitely not South African. And they're not doing another quiz. No. There will be another quiz written. But anyway, I shall keep going and keep asking away. So if you'd like to ask some more questions, please go ahead. Are they handsome? Well, that's not for me to know, because I'm not really that way interested in them. So if you might think they're handsome, you'll have to find out for yourself. Have they got 2 accents? Well, there are 2 people, but one wasn't intending to be a mystery guest. One was just helping with a matter of a quiz, because the mystery guest is not clearly much use in that regard. And Mrs. Hensley says, this is a nice break from the news. Well, it's nice to have a bit of old quizzing. There will be future quizzes available. And what do I think of Mark Williams Thomas, effectively, is the question, or my beef with him? He works for the PPE profiteer Michelle Mone. He was very rude to me when I met him. I don't like the man. I don't think he knows what he's talking about. He's as much use as the chocolate teapot. He is a complete pillock. I do not like Mark Williams Thomas. I don't think he does anything useful in the justice arena. I think, what he did with that boy and that went missing and all the rest of it, and Madeleine McCann, he's always got a theory. He's always very arrogant. He knows it all. He's a know-all. He's a know-all nobody. I don't like Mark Williams Thomas. He probably doesn't like me, but he probably doesn't even know who I am. But he was extremely rude to me on the one occasion I met him. And I have to say, everybody I've spoken to about him thinks he's awful. He's up there with plenty of these others of this nature who think that they are clever, but he's no clever Trevor. He's just a complete prize pillock. So will I tell any ghost stories? I don't have any ghost stories for tonight, but why would you like a ghost story tonight? It's not quite wintry yet, but you'd like a ghost story in the future, right? Is the mystery man in the chat? No, none of them are. No, they don't engage on these platforms, so no. Have I met Piers Morgan? I've encountered him, but I don't know him. He's not somebody I know, no. But I do know, well, I did know his wife, but I haven't seen her in years. But no problem with Piers Morgan. I think he's entertaining the world. Nothing wrong with what he's doing. Yeah, he stirs the pot. He can be a bit stupid in some of his comments, but aren't we all? We all say silly things. But out of all the people you can hate in the world, I don't hate Piers Morgan. I don't hate Jeremy Clarkson. I very much like Jeremy Clarkson, but the controversial stirrers of this type, I quite like those people. Do I like David Icke? I've never met David Icke, but I don't really think David Icke would be for me because I don't believe in lizards and shapeshifters and things like that. But different people have different things that they like. So there we go. Okay. Am I linked to the Jill Dando murder? No. Sorry, it's Kitty linked. Sorry. Well, Kitty is a reference to somebody. Well, it's a rabbit hole that perhaps we don't need to go down tonight, but a certain Christian pop singer was friendly with her, but there we go. So there is a possibility you could make a linkage, but there we go. Enigma Blue says Nicola Sturgeon is a wrong un. Well, I can't say I'm a fan of Nicola Sturgeon. I think Nicola Sturgeon is a disgusting woman who should never have been appointed. I don't think the office of such should have even been appointed. I think Britain was a much better country when we had one Prime Minister, Margaret Thatcher. I think we should have gone back to that era and got rid of all this devolution and all this rubbish parliaments and stupid mayors of London. Throw it all out. We don't need any of these ghastly people and waste more civil servants. And of course, under backwards Burnham, we're just going backwards. No more of this drivel. Let's kick it all out. Let's start again. Absolute rubbish. We don't need any more of that. Next question. Right. It'll all come out in the wash about Vile Kitty. I tend to agree, but we'll have to wait till the creepy Christian crooner croaks. That won't be a day too soon for me. I'm no fan of him, and I know you shouldn't speak ill of people, but some people really are reprehensible, and he's rotten and wrong. So I have no interest in being even, vaguely polite about somebody like him. Awful, awful person. Boy George and his records belong in the dustbin. Totally agree. My friend Alden Carlson, a nice gentleman who I met after he'd been a victim of Boy George. He was chained to a radiator and beaten by this reprehensible specimen. He has, he's a decent gentleman who now lives in Norway. He'd had a curious part of his life, and he'd met Boy George, and he ended up being beaten by this horrible, evil man. And Boy George was sent to prison. Now Boy George is trying to pretend he wasn't sent to prison. Well, the record is quite clear. Boy George was imprisoned for the offence, and the judge was very clear in his analysis of the damage that this revolting action did to this poor young man who he attacked. So, it's a terrible thing to get involved with someone like Boy George, who is clearly crackpot crazy and deserves locking up for the rest of his life. Revolting, revolting person. As Mrs. Hensley, our wise and witty lady here, says, you wouldn't want to be with them at a dinner party. We have Sean, who says Rod Stewart says he's not long for this world. I don't know whether he's saying that Rod Stewart himself is not long for this world, or it's just somebody Rod Stewart is referencing. I believe Rod Stewart's got plenty of life in him. I've no problem with Rod Stewart myself, other than his music. Somebody I knew used to play it rather a lot, and I got rather sick of it. But I would not have a problem with him. Yes, did Boy George do time for calling the police to report his coke had been stolen? Yes, Boy George was convicted of that crime also, but that was in America. My friend was assaulted in Great Britain, and he was sent to prison for attacking a Norwegian gentleman. And yes, he was imprisoned, and he is now pretending he was not sent to prison. He was sent to prison, and he is a revolting, evil turd. He is disgusting. Boy George should be banished to wherever. He's awful. No, don't like Boy George. Can't even stand it. Why is Boy George lying about this? Asks Lisa. Well, you have to ask Boy George. You probably are not banned on Twitter from asking him the question. So, Lisa, I suggest please ask him that question. Mrs. Hensley now says that Nigel Farage is irrelevant. I do think Mr. Farage is irrelevant and pretty awful. I would ask the mystery guest for a comment, but he's very remarkably silent tonight.
I can answer.
Okay, mystery guest, Mrs. Hensley, who, of course, you do know mystery guest yourself, so I'm admitting to the prior knowledge, would like to make a comment. So we're going to allow mystery guest to respond to Mrs. Hensley. Mrs. Hensley is you're not quite Leona Helmsley, but you're Mrs. Hensley, so we better not get confused there, because, of course, she thought that taxes were only for the little people, so we were on a very different person, and we're going to let the mystery guest speak for a moment. Let's see if he has something useful to say.
Well, Nigel Farage, he's kind of like a steam valve. He says a lot of the right things, and he's got some good views on the economy. But what he does is that he mixes it in with other things that are not too great, like supporting proxy wars in Ukraine and bombing in Palestine and all the stuff, and I think he's. We definitely know that he's backed by military. There's a guy called Christopher Harborne who lives in Thailand, and he runs the venture capital arm of the Ministry of Defense, and they were given public funds to basically create Bitcoin mining. So they're doing large-scale Bitcoin mining on public funds, and of course keeping the profits for themselves, and then funneling that into supporting Farage, and so that's where his kind of his support for Zelensky and Netanyahu and all these little kind of tyrants are coming from, and so but he says some good stuff, but then I don't think he ever really intends to win. He's more interested in kind of being he's trying to make himself the rebel to get that anti-establishment credibility going. He never really pinpoints who and what the globalists are, and and he never names the power structure really. So that's what I'm saying.
Well, there you go. You had a little bit of an input on that. Mrs. Hensley, have you any comeback, Mrs. Hensley? You are a very forceful lady in your views also. So, Mrs. Hensley, do you have a response to make? We're getting lots of comments about Zelensky being corrupt. Have I met Johnny Rotten? I didn't meet Johnny Rotten, no. The sweet little dog is very nice.
Yes, I agree with Mrs. Hensley.
Yes. Right.
Farage is not going to...
No, just a moment. Mrs. Hensley has her own point to make. Farage is certainly not going to save the UK from anything. Right. So that's Mrs. Hensley's view. Do I enjoy? Right. Okay. I won't be answering that question. Rude. Rupert Lowe is one of the best, says Natalie. Miss Louie Lou, Missy Lou, or is tired of Zelensky. Enigma Blue, Farage is overdone. Mrs. Hensley says, talk is cheap. Watch these clowns in governments do not what they say. Right. Awful Mr. Schofield and his vapes. Right. Okay. Well, I think we've gone through enough of that. So next topic. Right. Okay. Have we any more questions? Before we close down this chitter chatter and conversation, do you have any more questions? Thank you to those of you who've kindly supported this channel. You're very, very generous. Any other supporters are very welcome always. We love a bit of support and we love to keep going. And if you want to advertise on our channel, please contact us at editorial@thesteepletimes.com. If you want to come to a dinner, the same email address. If you would like to come on a walking tour, please email again. We're easy to contact, and we love your support, and it keeps us going, and we have to keep doing things. It's great to have opinions and wonderful things. I think the mystery guest would like to say something, so I don't know what he wants to speak about, but if you'd like a bit more of the mystery guest, we're going to hand you over to him now, but I don't know what he's going to randomly ramble on about because I haven't asked a question.
No, I was just going to continue with the Farage thing. Yes, he is controlled opposition, and he ended up being pro-lockdown, despite the fact of pretending to be anti-government. He then agreed with Tony Blair, or his statements in the lockdown thing. You can find those videos on YouTube still, where he says that we need to lock down. So yes, you can never trust these guys. A lot of the both prime ministers and presidents, they feign incompetency in order to hide their complicity in their crackdown on the public. So they very often you have all of these politicians. They seem coherent before they get elected. They're very coherent in the debates. Even George W. Bush and Boris Johnson. And as soon as they get into power, including Biden, they suddenly go full retard. They start walking into doors. They start mincing their words. They start acting like a clown. They can't open an umbrella, and that's all part of their act. It's part of their they're trying to camouflage what they're actually doing, so people brush them off as idiots. They say, "Oh well, he's just clearly an idiot. He just doesn't know what he's doing." No, they do know what they're doing. They're screwing over the public, and they're working for the private corporation of the City of London.
Well, there we go. We have lots of strong views from the mystery guest, who you now allege could not be Scottish, but maybe Irish. Right. Okay. And then Leslie says definitely not an Irish. He sounds Canadian and maybe Dutch. God, he does get all over the world, this mystery man, doesn't he? He's mixed English Irish, and Deb says just hello, mystery man. He's definitely a Dutch. The only ones who want to sort out the UK are actually Andrew Brudgeon and Rupert Lowe, says Mrs. Hensley. Full stop. Okay, so Mrs. Hensley does not agree particularly with the mystery man, but maybe they can debate that over a drink at a bar sometime soon, so they could perhaps do that in person. Zelensky and his wife are like President Ferdinand and Imelda Marcos, says Missy Lulu. Enigma Blue says the mystery guest is a Scottish lord. Anyway, there we go. The mystery guest has finally woken up at the end of the show. Do I have any thoughts on Tommy Robinson? Well, the mystery guest may have thoughts on the Tommy Robinson, but I have my own thoughts on the Tommy Robinson. Tommy Robinson's a twat and a twerp. he's just an awful person and he's not worth the oxygen of wasting our time upon. So I don't really feel the need to talk about Tommy Robinson on this very evening. I think there's better things to talk about than him. We leave support for Tommy Robinson to the likes of the moronic idiot Dan Wootton and his not so charming friends.
I should say Rupert Lowe is a Freemason.
Right. Well, the mystery guest is trying to make comments about Rupert Lowe, but I think we'll leave Rupert Lowe alone for the evening. Right. The mystery guest's voice changes when he says Ministry of Defence. Okay, I don't know what your observation is. Tommy Robinson is vile. We've had a message retracted. I don't know why, but there we go.
Tommy Robinson's
MI5. The mystery guest thinks he's paid by MI5. Whereas Mrs. Hensley thinks he's paid by Mossad. Hey Tiggers thinks he's a spy, and we're getting lots of opinions. But anyway, we don't need to talk any more about Tommy Robinson. He's just tedious and twerp. And right, okay. Well, have we any topics further? I think it would be nice to conclude with something a little more positive than Tommy Robinson. Before we head off into the night and leave our host in peace, we're asked all sorts of questions. Are you coming back tomorrow? Asks Hey Tiggers. No, I won't be coming back tomorrow. We'll try and do this at least once a week, but I can't do it every day because I don't have a place to do it every day. So we cannot be doing this every day, but my kind host here has come back, the other mystery guest. No, I don't think I could inflict upon him such a regular occurrence, but he's been very generous as a host in allowing my presence here in his home with his lovely dogs that were meant to join in, that haven't joined in that much, but they have tried, but we have tried to have a little presence. We may get a little more presence in a moment, but we'll have to.
Hensley says let's debate.
Right. Well, the mystery guest is trying to interrupt just a moment, but I'm just trying to bring the little one here. Here you are. You wanted to see more of the little dog, and here he is, one of them. Here, having a little nosh. There we go. There we go. There we go. So, yes, maybe to conclude, right, you love a daily broadcast. Well, I can't do a daily broadcast, but I will try and do a more regular broadcast here, there, and everywhere. More wine is on the way to wind us out, and we will be going soon because we have to leave this poor host in peace. We have rather taken over a household area. You liked when I was in France because I was stressed. Okay, well, I don't think I liked being stressed, but I was rather distressed. But I know it provided many of you with lots of entertainment, and we did have some jolly times, and there'll be plenty more jolly times in the future. It's great to see the gang back together, says Hey Tigers. Thank you, says Mrs. Hensley, to the mystery guests and all you lovely people. Mrs. Hensley approves of both mystery guests. So if Mrs. Hensley approves, then we're all doing okay, aren't we, mystery guest number one? Well, speak up, mystery guest. Say something nice.
Thank you all.
Thank you all. And guest number two?
Thank you all.
Oh, right. They don't say much, these mysteries. The mysteries keep being mysteries. Do I miss seagulls? Of course I miss seagulls. And yesterday I saw a seagull in Pelham Street, Kensington, South Kensington, and there was a strange woman trying to capture it. and I told her to leave it alone. It was a fledgling seagull, and she was using a Chinese takeaway, carton to try and lure it. And I wondered if she was planning on being like those naughty people who have been capturing, swans in the park so they can cook them. She was of, foreign extraction, and she looked like she was up to no good trying to capture it. And I was about to take her picture, and then she got rather aggressive, and I didn't like what she was up to, attacking, and it reminded me of our favorite little seagull that I rescued down in the south of France, Minnie Thatcher, as we called it, in honor of Minnie Cheddars and Margaret Thatcher, that became a favorite of you in this channel. And we did have some fun times with the old seagull until the German neighbor tried to shoot it. And, all sorts of other things happened. But you did enjoy having the visit from our little seagull. And Minnie Thatcher, yes, Tina De Silva loved Minnie Thatcher. And that nasty neighbor, says Kat McPhee. She was a nasty neighbor, the nasty nudist Nazi. She was German, and she was definitely a Nazi. And she tried to shoot somebody who went swimming once. She was completely insane. I don't miss her. I will never miss her, but she was a particularly unpleasant woman who Lady Min did not really like, but tolerated. She was the noxious neighbor, but we had many lovely neighbors there. The Texan oil tycoons were absolutely lovely, and we had many wonderful people. A wonderful man called Falcon, who has been in touch today, who is a great supporter and lovely friend, a boat captain, and he watches these programs. So if you're there, Falcon, hello to you. And we had all our lovely other visitors, Kate, the fabulous Kate, and all sorts of others. We're getting photographs taken with the dogs, but you can't see this right now. But they're not joining in with the thing. The nasty woman, did she steal sunbeds as well? She probably stole towels, yes. A German does love to steal the beach towel, as we know, but there are lots of wonderful Germans out there, lovely German people. I've met many a wonderful German out, but we did win the war, so we've got to remember that. Let's be honest. So we didn't win the football, but we won the war. Right. We were always being invited out for drinks and dinner. Well, yeah, it'd be nice if somebody invited me out for drinks and dinner back in London. It's very, very dry here compared to out there. All I ever witness here in London is shoplifting in Daylesford. It's kind of quite a contrast to the civility of living in the south of France. One would expect not to be witnessing thievery down there. Did I see the Royal Mailman kick a dog to death? I can't say I did. I don't think the mystery guests did either, because neither of them have reacted. Right. German beer is pure malt, no sugar. Well, that's an interesting observation, but I don't know what I meant to say in response. Were the Germans caught on a doorbell camera? Well, I don't believe so. Are we going to have some nice merchandise, asks Mrs. Hensley. Mrs. Hensley, well, we could have some nice merchandise to do with our nice tailoring friend, or we could have some perhaps other merchandising to do with, I do think we might need for our viewers. Would you like some drinks coasters with the words bog off written on them? Because you do like it when I give you a bog off. I have been asked to go on this cameo thing, and a certain very wealthy meat packing family did ask me to do a cameo for them, which I did do. So I am in the league of Nigel Farage. I have been on Cameo. I'm not very popular on this Cameo, unlike him. He's made millions, and I made one booking. And then one message. So I am semi-popular. Right, you would like shopping bags with bog off written on. You want merch. I don't really like the word merch. It sounds very downbeat. Somebody who I'm involved in wants me to sell watches. Do you want a watch? I don't want a watch. They also want me to sell gin. Well, I wouldn't mind creating a gin, but it would have to be the way I'd want it to taste. And I don't do AI, and it's not to be created that way. So we're going to be very careful about such things. So don't believe what you see on the internet, please, because I didn't create it. T-shirts with bog off. Okay, well, I don't know if anyone would want to buy such a thing, really. Would you actually buy it? Right, you'd like a mini cheddar by me. A special brand of mini cheddar. Right, okay, well. Right. You want gin without pollution. Well, there we go. Okay, well, merch does not suit your brand. I totally agree with you. I don't like the word merch. Do the mystery guests like the word merch? No. One of them is an expert in marketing himself because he has his own particular brand. So there you go. So we've got a 50-50. The other one.
Actually, no, don't worry, guys. Keep going.
Well, the mystery guest is moaning. I don't know what this mystery guest is moaning about, but it's very inappropriate behaviour, given the input level has been lacking. So, right, okay, Gordon's Gin. I need to hire you as an ambassador. I don't wish to work for Gordon's Gin. Right. Mrs. Hensley wishes to discuss her marketing expertise. Well, thank you, Mrs. Hensley. Right. All right, we might see you in PJs to discuss such. What are we having for dinner tonight? Well, it's a bit late for that. At nearly 10 o'clock. Right. Well, anyway, I think perhaps, we are getting to a later stage in the day. You want a bog roll. Okay, well, you could have that written on it. Yes, the word merch is definitely bannable. I've never met Dustin Hoffman. And you'd like my fish fingers. Okay, right. Right, well, I love a fish finger, but I leave that to Birdseye. Right, here we are. So these little dogs don't want to join in to say goodbye, but
Input on low or
no, it's time to say. Oh, right. I think the mystery guest would like to make a comment. I don't know what the mystery guest wishes to make a comment about.
Well, no, I won't.
Oh, he's now being a little. He's so precious, this mystery guest. This is where he becomes very strange. So you can make your theories about him. Right. Okay. Well. Right. Mystery guest, are you going to speak about something?
No, I'm not going to say.
Oh, for goodness sakes! Just, you start moaning. Speak. Take the bloody microphone and speak.
All right. I mean, Rupert Lowe's another one who's definitely controlled. He made a tweet where he wrote, Winston Churchill is one of the greatest Britons to ever live and defeated one of the most evil regimes the world has ever seen. Winston Churchill is perhaps one of the darkest figures in history, and that might surprise a lot of people, but he was one of the descendants of the largest charter members of the Bank of England. And the Churchill family have orchestrated a lot of global conflicts, World War I, World War II, and Winston Churchill was one of the original organizers of the United Nations. So he was one of he was at the Atlantic Charter, which was where the UN was created. He came up with the name with FDR. They met at several events as a precursor to start in the UN. So when you have someone like Rupert Lowe who then says that pretends to be against the establishment, that's complete nonsense. The guy's completely controlled. He's a Freemason. He's got a picture of Freemason behind his wall in his house where he does his YouTubing, and yeah. So no, we have to be very careful with all of these politicians. They're all corrupt. They're all working for the private corporation of the City of London and the Bank of England, and that's what most people won't talk about.
Well, there you go. You've got a differing view on Winston Churchill. You see, I allow people to say whatever they want. Now, many of you probably love Winston Churchill. You think he's absolutely wonderful. The Midnight Chair says Churchill is a legend. I'm not having any of that. Now, obviously, the mystery guest will say he doesn't agree. I allow differing perspectives, and Winston Churchill certainly has his fan club, and he was considered to be one of the greatest leaders in history. But the mystery guest will definitely not agree. Many people loved or loathed Margaret Thatcher. I personally consider Margaret Thatcher the best prime minister to ever have governed our wonderful country. I think she was the best, without a doubt. Mrs. Hensley says, mystery guest, too true. Churchill and family were not on the right side, part of the globalists promoting unnecessary wars. I've learned something important. So mystery guest has contributed to Mrs. Hensley's knowledge. So Mrs. Hensley and the mystery guest have agreed on something yet again. But let's be honest, we all have differing views. Now, mystery guest, please be quiet whilst I continue speaking. Don't interrupt. Thank you. The mystery guest suggests we are doomed. Hey Tigers says, I think Margaret Thatcher was a true patriot. I agree. Was Margaret a woman? Asks Fern. No, Margaret Thatcher was a lady. She was very dignified and a very significant, brilliant lady of distinction, and she was fantastic and wonderful. She did a lot of good. Mrs. Hensley says Churchill had brilliant PR. Is the mystery guest, asks, hey Tigers, or Tigers, I never know which one you are, white piled or black piled? So we have a question. Is mystery guest white piled or black piled?
Pilled. White pilled or black pilled?
Yes.
But I don't know. I don't want I know red pill and blue pill, right?
He knows red and blue. He's not white or black, he claims. So, hey, Tigers or Tigers, can you tell us if you're Tigger or Tiger?
He said tiger.
We've had this before with you. I know. We've had you on many times, obviously. He said black is the no point. Right. Black is no hope. White is us hopeful. I've no idea what this is all about. I'm completely lost in this dim-witted dialogue. Right, next question. Let's move on. If we're going to close down this funny farm with our final glass of wine, we're going to say pip pip and cheerio with all of you. We've definitely we're going on about this pill. I'm not really into pills. I don't take ecstasy, and I'm definitely not I'm definitely not going to Manchester to the backwards Burnham funny farm. I don't want to go to Manchester. We don't need to follow the BBC. We don't need to follow backwards Burnham. We need to move on in life and rinse things up than rather bring them down. So anyway, I would rather we think about some nice things and pleasant things Watch The Matrix. Okay. Did I meet Howard Marks? I've never met Howard Marks. I don't know if mystery guest number 1 met Howard Marks. No, he didn't. Mystery guest number 2 is too young to have met Howard Marks, so there's another giveaway as to his persona. I don't think he could have met Howard Marks. You're not a Margaret Thatcher fan. Okay, well, that's your entitlement, and that's fair enough. Lots of people didn't like Margaret, but Margaret Thatcher was the best prime minister who's ever lived. Wonderful lady. But there you go. We can't agree on everything, can we, Toffee a lady? What does mystery guest think we can escape all of this? To do or escape, or what we can do is ask Mrs. Hensley. Does the mystery guest have a view? No. Well, anyway, did I ever meet Simon Mann? Of course I met Simon Mann. I knew Simon Mann. Simon Mann tried to orchestrate a coup and, of course, got thrown in prison, and then he died. I did know Mr. Mann, and Captain Mann, and I quite liked Captain Mann, and, I'm sorry he died. If he had orchestrated his coup, it probably wouldn't have been a bad thing for that country. But, the moron Mark Thatcher got involved, Margaret's son, who was the village idiot, and Mark Thatcher remains the village idiot. Unfortunately, Margaret Thatcher's son was given a hereditary title, so of course he is allowed to continue to be titled, which is a ridiculous thing. It was a title given to, Dennis. So obviously, and he inherited it. And meanwhile, Theresa May's husband was given a title too. He looks like Wallace from Wallace and Gromit. It's a complete joke. To give these two twerps titles is laughable. We've got Theresa May's husband who put the bins out, the boy who put the bins out. Do you remember him?
Yeah.
What do you do? Boys' jobs. Teresa, what do you do? Girls' jobs. The other mystery guest is now upsetting the dogs. Who let the dogs out? That's going to be the next song that's going to be played. Who let the dogs out? Yes. Woof, woof. I don't know how it goes. Simon Mann referred to Mark Thatcher as Scratcher, yes. Does Mystery Man have a favourite Scottish pet? The mystery guest is trying to ruin my program by moving around. Mystery guest, please sit down. You're upset. You're ruining the program. Sit on a chair. Sit. The mystery guest has to be called off because he's making the dogs bark. Really, if he keeps still, we wouldn't be in this problem. Does the mystery guest want to stop upsetting the dogs, please? Okay, there you go. You've been told to stop it. Have I ever met Lady Lucan? Yes, I did meet her once. She screamed they were all dead. She was a very strange character. Put the mystery guest on the naughty step. Is he a haggis man? Has the mystery guest ever had haggis? He's now putting his head in his hands and refusing to answer the question. Have you ever had haggis?
Of course I've had haggis.
He says, of course he's had haggis.
No, it's not.
So therefore, he is Scottish. Yes, that's what you're suggesting. He's had neeps. He didn't enjoy it. Hey Tiggers says he looks more like the mackerel bone broth type of person. Is he sulking? Asks Julie. 8220. Is he a sulker? He looks like the kind of person who eats Cullen skink and tatties. Maybe he has salmon and real butter. he needs to be added a bit of butter and whiskey. Mrs. Hensley suggests that the other host gets a Pomeranian because they're better behaved dogs. Mrs. Hensley doesn't approve of the badly behaved dogs, in her view.
We'll have a meeting, Mrs. Hensley and PJ.
Mrs. Hensley would like the other owner would like to meet you to discuss dog welfare in PJs, so you can become friendly over your mutual love of the four-legged friends. So I'm sure you'll become great friends when you meet to discuss the behavior of four-legged friends. Lisa thinks that the other mystery guests could be into haggis, neeps, and tatties. Katz McPhee wants to know if he likes Twinkies, whatever that means. I don't know what that means.
American candy. I don't know what that is.
Enigma wants to know if either of you have a Scottish castle. One of them has a hotel in a foreign country, but not a Scottish castle. But the other one, as far as I'm aware, doesn't own a Scottish castle. Do I think that Lord Lucan escaped and lived on? Well, if I knew the answer to that, I'd be a very rich man, wouldn't I? Let's be honest. Do I know where Gary eats? May I respond? We don't know who Gary is. So if you want to ask a question, hey, tigers, or whatever you're called, we love you very much, but please ask a direct question that makes sense, because that's a stupid question. Do I drink iron brew, and does the mystery guest drink it? I can't say I've ever consumed iron brew. Mystery guest number 1 does not drink it. Does the other one?
Not since I was 12.
Oh, the other one drank it when he was 12. Ooh, right. Well, he's a naughty fellow, isn't he? What do we think of Gordon Ramsay?
No opinion.
Mystery guest 1 says no opinion. Mystery guest 2?
No opinion.
No opinion. I think he's a fucking Burke. So bog off. Have I ever met Michael Hutchins? No. That's mystery guest 1. No, I thought he may have done. Mystery guest 2 would not have done. Is the mystery guest Andrew Gold? No. Not on this occasion, as far as I'm aware. Andrew Gold prefers tea and biscuits and crumpets and things. Does the mystery guest smoke cigarillos?
No.
He doesn't really look like a cigarillo smoker. No. Is the mystery guest Rod Stewart and Alistair Campbell combined plastic Scots?
Oh.
Are you a plastic Scot?
That's expensive.
That's very expensive and very unpleasant. The mystery guest being compared to Rod Stewart and oh my. Next you'll be bringing up Rory Stewart. He lives round the corner from here. He seems to live a very wealthy life. Right, is the mystery guest Gavin Rankin? Right. Does the mystery guest put water in whiskey? The mystery guest doesn't even drink whiskey, as far as I'm aware. Right. Does the mystery guest want to continue to be famous, or is he worth putting on LinkedIn? I don't know if the mystery guest is even on LinkedIn. The other mystery guest doesn't even know what LinkedIn is, I don't think. Oh, here we go. Oh, God, here we go. Is Lawrence Fox disgraced? I like him. Does the mystery guest like Lawrence Fox?
Lawrence Fox and Calvin Robinson. Lawrence Fox and Calvin Robinson are both Freemasons. That's a fact. I'm not joking. That's a fact.
Carry on. Rant and rave. Have a rant. Name have a rant. Go on.
No, I know people who've known Lawrence Fox, and yeah, I haven't heard anything good. He's, but both of them are, they're there to. Sorry, I am a bit tired today. But no, they're agent provocateurs. They're there to create discord and get a counter reaction from that, and it's all this woke, anti-woke dialectic. We had 10 years of woke being fostered through the mainstream media, and then we had 10 years of woke being fostered through the mainstream media, and then they get this anti-woke. It's naturally going to create an anti-woke reaction to it, but that's also fostered by the same sort of media conglomerates. They'll put in articles about some woke person, and that's what Calvin Robinson and Lawrence Fox are there to do.
I'm not cutting the mystery guest off, but when somebody wishes to be not present on camera, one has to be able to ask them the questions back and forth. So I have to grab the microphone back. Grab is a terrible, disgusting word that I should not be using. Appalling, and how shocking of me. My vocabulary should be thrown in the gutter for that. But I'm getting so many questions back about certain points that the mystery guest has made that we now have to answer them. The mystery guest is not Alex Belfield. He's been to prison. He's not a very pleasant man. Very unpleasant indeed. We don't like people using the word toilet. I don't know who used the word toilet, but that is a disgusting word. Yes, that should be banned. That's room 101. And as for the mystery guest's views on Lawrence Fox and Calvin, we are getting many a comment coming in that you don't like either of them. But yes, the mystery guest is quite entitled to express wonderful opinions. I do not agree with Fern Folks or Fern Fox, whoever you are. If you wish to use such words, bog off. Not nice. Right. Anyway, the mystery guest can have his little conclusion on his matter, but I just had to interrupt to say that there are many a question coming in, but we will be closing this program down soon because, we have rather overtaken this whole household for a rather long time, and it's time to say enough is enough, and we've got to go home, and, tomorrow's another day, and we can always return and do more. But you don't like the word patio, Andrea. The word patio is a rather tacky phrase, of course, obviously associated with Brookside Close. It's where you bury a body. And obviously I'm associated with a particular crime case where somebody buried a person as well. So I'm getting interruption whilst I'm talking about. Sorry, I'm just talking about a true crime case, and I'm getting interruption. It's ridiculous. The mystery guest needs to reel his neck in. Really, honestly, he'll be allowed to speak in a moment. I was just finishing off talking about. We were talking about bodies under patios in Brookside, which obviously many of the viewers are very interested in because, we love historic TV shows. And of course, one of the people who has been on one of our walking tours is connected with a true crime case that is very similar, to do with a body under a part of a house. So that's the only reason I was talking about that. But yeah, we're not Fred West. Patios are very Californian. We don't like the word patio. No, thank you. But anyway, Mrs. Hensley thinks the patio is very Californian. Anyway, we won't go down that route. Let's move along and let the mystery guest have his little rant about whatever mystery guest wants to have his rant about.
No, I just noticed someone asked me about.
No, you have to take the microphone slowly. Oh, it does ruin the screen effect, doesn't it?
Grabs it.
A grab bag, yes.
No, all of these people like Lawrence Fox, Calvin Robinson, Tommy Robinson, they are working for MI5, and it is they are there to provoke a culture war, and it is there to distract from any sort of reasonable debate on the economic policies of the government. It is there to do divide and conquer tactics through the population. It is there to it's basically assessing what the mindset of the population are thinking and how they're reacting to political events, and creating a narrative around that. And that's what Calvin and Lawrence are doing, and same with Tommy Robinson. They're all working for MI5, and of course MI5 they do and MI6 they do recruit through Freemasonry, because they are I mean, this is Freemasonry was intelligence before MI6 was created. It was a network that was spread throughout the empire. They traveled with the regiments. They set up lodges. They invited local leaders into the lodges to bring them into the empire's goals. So they had an open faith, you kind of what do you call it, an ecumenical world faith, where they invited people of all religions and all faiths, and that's where you get Charles. A lot of people say, oh, he's a Muslim. He's not a Muslim, he's a Freemason. They are an empire. They want to bring in and corral as many people as they can to it. At the same time, they use divisive tactics to pit to create cultural wars and to lead oppositions in this dialectic, two groups antagonized against each other into the here I'm being asked to.
He gives his views very fairly and reasonably and rationally, but we have to slowly move this program towards a conclusion, because several of you have said that you feel tired and you're ready to go to sleep. Now, it's been wonderful and absolutely fantastic of the mystery guest, a lovely guest here. You don't need to run away, mystery guest. You have to stay around for the conclusion. We have to say thank you very much to various people. The mystery guest should be on the Sean Atwood program, is the analysis that we have here. He would be better on the Sean Atwood program. Well, if Mr. Atwood would like to invite him on the program, that's up to Mr. Atwood. I can't speak for others. I do invite the mystery guest to speak on my show. Does the mystery guest speak to the Pope? As far as I'm aware, no. Right. It's not Sean Atwood. He isn't Sean Atwood, no. He's not Sean Atwood, no. So it's not the same person. Sean Atwood is not that great an impersonator of voices, I suppose. But anyway, you can say good night to the mystery guest. The mystery guest, can you say good night to the guests?
Good night, everyone. Thank you for listening to my rants.
Well, the mystery guest was wonderful, and it was lovely to have him with us. So he's saying thank you to you, and I'm saying thank you to you. It's been lovely to have all of you present, and the other person is still away with their own cigarette somewhere else smoking. So I'd like to say thank you very much to you all. I don't know if you have anything else to say, and you're welcome to continue. We have to wait for our other person to come back. So if you have any final questions, you can ask me some final questions. You're the best, Sean Atwood. All right. I don't know. I'm not Sean Atwood, no. And nor is the mystery guest. Okay. We like the mystery man. He's always a delight. I've no idea why we're talking about right-wing Twitter accounts. I've no idea. Good night to Mrs. Hensley. I hope you sleep well. Thank you, Mrs. Hensley, for your presence. You're very kind. How do I feel about Ron and his... I don't know what you mean, but Ron... if you mean Ron, the man who works with Sean, is a very nice gentleman. I don't know anything about the other thing you mentioned. Has the mystery guest ever attended a Skull and Bones meeting? I don't know. I can't really ask him because he's now off camera. But I don't believe the mystery guest has ever attended such a thing. Have I ever been into the entrepreneur William Story? I don't even know who the entrepreneur William Story is. Anyone who calls themselves an entrepreneur is naff. It's a tacky word. It's disgusting. Richard Branson calls himself an entrepreneur, and he's a piece of scum. He's a revolting little man who deserves the full force of the law thrown at him. Thank you to the mystery guest, says Mrs. Hensley. And when's your birthday, Matthew? Well, that will remain a mystery, Mrs. Hensley, but I'll tell you when I meet you next in person. I'm not sure why you're asking me when my birthday is, but right, okay. So with the other mystery guest we need to thank is coming back now, so we're going to thank him and give him a little thank you before we go. So thank you to the lovely host with the lovely dogs, but they didn't really join in tonight too much, but they did try, and we had a little bit of a presence, and we thank them. They are nothing to do with what is he, the mystery guest, and his waving his arms around. He is extremely rude and inappropriate in his conduct, and we can call him out on camera for that, so we don't need him telling me what to do. Thank you very much. I speak as much as I wish. I don't need to be interrupted by anybody, and anybody who interrupts me will be told to bog off. It was nothing to do with B.S. Smith and Skull and Bones, Yale University, says Mrs. Hensley. Right, okay. Well, I don't think that the mystery guest has been to such a place, but anyway, we move along, and we laugh at the fact that the world is hilarious. And let's say it's been wonderful having you all along for such a mysterious collection. You can see Fergie going to prisoner cell block H. One dog has... No, we're not going anywhere. We're not joining in. We're trying to get joining in to say goodbye. Well, Enigma Blue is giving away the date of my birthday. That's very nice of you, but anyway, thank you ever so much for joining us. There's been hundreds and hundreds of you here. Right. Here we go. We're trying to get... We've got a semi-visitation on the camera. There we go. And yes, there's no one like me. Thank you. Well, it's very kind of you to say that, but why would you want anyone like me? My God, bloody awful. Thank you very much for your kindness. It's absolutely fantastic that you've all joined in. The mystery guest could have tried harder. He could have joined in a bit more, but he was seriously a bit quiet today, wasn't he? So next time we expect our mystery guest to be a bit more mysterious. He's certainly not from any of the places you think, but we'd like a little bit more. You want the last orders, right? Okay, well, I don't know what your last orders are. Would we have a screenplay? Okay, right. The mystery guest has been too busy on the cider. Right, there we go. There we are. It's the cider that did it. Okay, well, we wish you all a very happy evening. May I say, have a wonderful evening. Absolutely lovely of you for joining in. Mrs. Hensley has been a huge input. Thank you. Her dogs are tired too. Well, we can see one dog here joining in. So, right, off we go. So, thank you very much. Please join us another evening. I don't know when we're going to do this again, but we'll try again. Right, it was lovely to see you all. You've all had a nice time. Thank you. Yes, a good night, lovely, and all the rest of it. It's been delightful. So, thank you very much. Thank you, and pip pip, good gardening, and top of the evening to you. Take care. Pip pip, and goodbye.